Hangout, a podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name's Luke Condor with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And
it's Andy Conduit Tanner. Hello, everybody.
Why did you leave us hanging for so long? It was almost like building up the tension of like, who's it going to be? It's Andy Conduit Turner.
Just like to mix things up. But actually, I was thrown out. I'll be honest. He said Mister, and I was waiting for that last word as a cue, and I was like, no, can't go.
Oh.
So,
and well, yeah, Mister.
But Luke was just not assuming my gender as he shouldn't.
I got thrown off because Kat was walking down the stairs and throwing me off. But yeah, sorry, Andy.
Threw you right off. That was a really fast intro as well, Luke. Like a really speedy, to the point, succinct intro. I mean, have you got somewhere to be?
It's all right, we've made up for it since.
No.
Right, okay, get over it. Right, what's the news? What have you been watching? Oh, what do you think of this film? Right, see you later. Got some name game. Fuck you.
Out in 10.
Out in 10. That's what I like to do.
How
is everybody?
Everyone okay?
Very good.
Yeah. My cheeks are hurting. I'm smiling. You ever get that? We've been smiling too hard.
Yeah, we've been having a jolly good time just before we started recording. Little peek behind the curtain there. We were laughing about Jabba the Hutt's cousins and all sorts. You'll never hear that. It was before we recorded.
Shabba
the Hutt, Mr. Loverman.
Mr. Loverman. I get the face thing when I laugh too much, but I also get like the back of my head aches when I'm laughing too much. You ever get that?
Because you put too much of your skin back there while you were smiling, I guess.
Put too much of your skin back. Where's the skin on your face? I've just put it with the back of my head for a bit.
Yeah, smiling, so I forced it all back.
Yeah, I was laughing like about something the other day. I was like, God, the back of my head is absolutely caning me. What's happened? Very painful.
To get it when I eat something that's a bit too sweet, like just around the sides of the jaws, that like tense up little nuggets.
Chewing too hard.
Or when I eat too fast, like I'm absolutely famished and I'm just like shoving it in, and then my mouth goes, "Oh, I can't keep up with that." Calm down.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Where you like chew it and it's like, I might actually die because I can't chew this.
Yeah.
Let me swallow before you put more in, you beast. You're like, no.
It's a bit embarrassing, really. I think I saw the reflection of myself once when I was doing it, and I was like, oh, that's not attractive. I think I was just like chowing down on some crackers and hummus. I just got back from the gym and I was so hungry. I was like, and I just saw myself in the reflection of the window, and I looked like a twat.
Bigfoot.
What have I done?
Bigfoot. Just.
Kat always makes fun of me because I always go like, if I've done any kind of exercise I haven't eaten, I'll start to shake and I'll be like, really like, I need to eat something within the next 10 seconds. I'm going to die. Just
going to pass out.
Off it.
Start going grey like eating, just withering away.
Yeah.
Calories mean nothing in those moments, do they?
It's like eating in a cinema and you never get full.
Yeah.
Exactly. Did you have any snacks in the cinema with your new chapter of Ghostface?
And a two chocolate eclairs that I found.
Found them
under the seat.
Under the seat. Under the seat.
Under the seat. Under the seat.
The cream's a bit off. It just smeared. That's all right. Just hold your nose and be fine.
Yeah, down they go. It's eclair. They go like that.
It's like when you go to a hotel and they leave a chocolate on your pillow. Sometimes when you go to the cinema, you find chocolate under your seat.
You find an eclair on your seat, but you got to look before you sit down. Otherwise,
it's a smart move again. Because like if you're a hotel and you put a chocolate that people can have when you get there, it doesn't necessarily make your hotel better, but it makes every hotel that doesn't do that look like absolute shit. Yeah. Like I don't go, oh, a chocolate. All I do is I see a chocolate and I eat it. But if I ever go to a hotel where there's not a chocolate, I go, you may as well have shit on the bed.
What the fuck? What am I living at a 1-star resort? Am I? Jesus Christ! That's my food.
Smash a window on the way out.
What kind of chocolate is it? Was it an after 8?
Maybe some bit of a mint crisp. Maybe a little mint thin.
A little mint thin. Yeah, I like that. They come in their little own individual little beds. Yeah. Slide them out. Little paper.
Oh, they are good.
Yeah, very nice.
So.
What about you, Anne? Did you have a snack in the cinema this time? We've never discussed this before.
Just a little drink, mostly because I'm trying to lose weight, and
a little drink. How little are we talking? A little.
Oh no, a massive drink. A drink is a drink. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you only consume liquids in massive form, right?
Yeah, I had the biggest bottle drink. Yeah, for those on camera, got my big squash it again. Got to stay hydrated.
Did you need a wee break during Scream 2022? Jesus,
No.
that is insane. You didn't need a wee break.
I'm like a camel.
I'm pretty sure that's like when you go to like a novelty shop and you have like yard pint glasses or something. There's a massive thing. I'm pretty sure that's what you've got.
It's a glass from what's it called? It's a glass from the you get the Christmas
beer
markets.
Yeah.
It's
hold it closer to your head because I'm worried that
it is bigger than your head. Why is it so big?
It's larger than my head, and I have a notoriously
large head.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you the traumatic story. We were living in Swindon at the time, driving down the hill. I was trying to be helpful. I was looking out the one side so I could tell Karen, the driver at the time, if there was any cars coming the other way. And she goes, "Do you want to move your fucking moon-sized head out the way?" So ever since then, always pointed out that apparently my head equals the size of the moon.
Is it the moon from Zelda? Which Zelda is it? Majora's Mask.
Yeah, Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Gradually getting closer.
Every 3 days, I smash the shit out of a town.
Well, got to keep busy.
Yeah.
What we got then? Do you want some horror news?
Yeah, give some horror news, Ben.
Want some of that horror news? Well, keeping with the theme of today's episode, might be a good idea to discuss Scream's box office because it's been doing very well. Pretty sure it's like number one pretty much everywhere right now, but it slashed its way to a 35 million 4-day opening. I think that must be just US. Yeah, in the States. So yeah, made about 30 million in the weekend, but over the 4-day period, 35 million. And apparently numbers are massive in comparison. That was me reading it because it said massive in italics. In comparison to Scream 4, which opened back in 2011 to only 18.6 million and ended its domestic run with only 38. So it's already close to beating it after 4 days. People are loving it.
I think it deserves to do well. It's nice to see these people back. Nice to see the team behind it. I'm glad it's doing well. I saw there was an article, I think Troy shared it in the Facebook group even, that was one publication had gone, "Oh, it's beaten Spider-Man." Spider-Man's been out for a month.
Yeah, everyone's over Spider-Man, aren't they? Everyone's
there's only a certain number of people that can go and see it. But
was the cinema busy for you guys? Because it wasn't for us at all.
Reasonable, but I tend to try and go at times there will be less people. I try and pick like the most antisocial times I can because I hate people I don't really know.
Yeah. So we went to the Everyman Cinema in Bristol, which I've never been to before, with like sofas and ting. So it wasn't that busy. There was probably like about 8 other people in there. But yeah, lovely way to enjoy. I think I'll maybe for special releases, I'm going to treat myself to something like that just to especially we've discussed going to see horror movies, especially on like opening weekend. It can be a bit, annoying
because you get the people screaming it or the person. You're gonna go out on a limb here and say, Ben, your favorite character to meet in society, the person that laughs at a horror film and then points out, I just find it funny.
Yeah, there's that kind of person. Who else? There was a guy in Malignant who turned around when the film ended. He went, "Well, that was shit." Well, I announced it to the cinema. But I think my least favorite one was the people who sat in front of me reacting to every scare in Brahms' The Boy 2. They were reacting to every scare, like they were watching the best, most well-crafted horror film ever made. Literally going, I can't believe how scary this is. Fucking hell.
They're practicing for their own like series of reaction videos.
I'll be like,
oh Jesus, Brahms the boy, look at it.
They're practicing their YouTube thumbnail face throughout it.
Yeah. They are literally watching the film like Randy from Scream. Like, don't look behind you. It's the boy.
Do you remember how people were watching? Like, this always sticks with me. But do you remember how the audience were watching the film in Scream 2? How they were watching Stab at the start of Scream 2.
Yes, I do.
My God, you could not relax. Popcorn was getting slung everywhere. People wearing masks, fake stabbings, real stabbings. People running up and down the aisles. I'd be like, I want my money back.
I put it to
I
you.
want my money back.
If given the choice to go and watch that screening of Stab with that audience or the screening of Snow White with Gremlins, I think the Gremlins one was a more acceptable cinema to see.
Yeah. It was way more chilled.
At least with Gremlins, if Hulk Hogan tells them off, they will settle down. And Gremlins 2, at least.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you would if he's got 28-inch pythons.
He's tearing his shirt off.
You're gonna shut up when he says so.
Yeah.
But thinking back to that, I think that is probably. I've been thinking about it. I've given it some thought. I think Scream 2 has got the best opening of all the movies.
Of all the movies ever?
Even better than number one. Of all the Scream movies, sorry. Not of all the movies ever.
I have not seen 2 to 4 for a long time. So how does number 2 open again?
So guys in the cinema
they're
watching
they're watching Stab.
The movie of obviously Scream. Jada Pinkett Smith and her boyfriend are having a bit of banter. He goes to the toilet, he hears a funny little voice, puts his ear up against the door, gets stabbed in the head.
Okay, I remember that, yeah.
A, that's brutal, but B, the killer goes and sits back next to Jada Pinkett Smith with mask on. She thinks it's her boyfriend, pissing about, and she gets stabbed. And because everyone around is dressed as the Ghostface killer, and everyone's pretending to stab people, it goes unnoticed until she goes to the front and screams and she's covered in blood. I just thought it was great. It was like a hidden in plain sight sort of killing, and I really honestly thought this film, obviously we will get into it, I think it needed something like that, something a bit different in terms of a place that the killings happen.
Yeah,
I mean, I know we had a hospital, but I don't know. I kind of liked the fact it happened out in public. I think there's a daytime killing in this one, isn't there? Which is
there is,
which is quite interesting.
But I think I hadn't thought about the opening to Scream 2 for a while. It is a good one. It's a nice, interesting take on it as well.
Well, don't they do that in
an English cinema because everyone would sit nicely. Everyone would sit nicely and quietly and be like, shh.
Did you say they do that in Scary Movie?
I'm pretty sure they do that in Scary Movie, the cinema kill, or something similar to that. Might be possibly. Yeah, because there's a penis that goes through the hole in the wall.
That's
that's got to be Scary Movie 2 sending up
Probably.
Scream 2 though, right?
Probably, I don't know.
I hope it wouldn't be life. Sorry, I was going to say life imitating art, but Scary Movie
non-parody, imitating parody.
Yeah, that would be kind of crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I did kind of think that kind of, because obviously we're going to get into it. I just thought in terms of beginnings to the film, you kind of know what you expect with Scream, don't you? And it's going to be phone call in a house. I know Scream 4 did the thing where it's like all the openings were versions of Stab movie.
Which couldn't tell anything about Scream 4.
I watched it not so long ago, so we can get into that. But okay. Other bits of news, it's quite sparse actually, but apparently Jason Blum has said Happy Death Day 3 is still on the cards. Probably just be called Happy Death Day what was it? Happy Death Day to you.
Happy Death Day, but the E is a 3.
Yeah, we'd like that.
Yeah.
So apparently he said, I have a plan. I'm not saying goodbye to Happy Death Day. I'll say it like that. Oh, secretive. Just tell us.
I'd go for one of those. I like those. They're fun.
I like them.
Yeah.
I've not seen the second one, I don't think. Or have I? I don't know. I
like
those, that vibe, the Freaky Friday one.
Yeah. I prefer that.
Freaky was great as well.
A hell of a lot more, I think. I'd like to see another one of those. Don't know how that will work, but still. And then a film we mentioned briefly last week is the new A24 horror movie X, directed by Ty West. There is a poster and a trailer.
That trailer looks...
I haven't actually seen the trailer.
Great.
The trailer looks really good.
Yeah. It's like one of the best trailers I've seen in a little while. It's really really fun.
So is it about like the making of an adult film, like on a ranch or something?
It kind of looks like imagine the guys from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but they are going to make like a porno, and they're staying in a house that I guess imagine be like one farm away from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre farm. It seems like that kind of house. And then crazy stuff looks like it starts happening. It looks great. It looks really fun.
It doesn't sound like an A24 vibe of horror, does it? Well,
A24 is weird because you do kind of associate that certain vibe, but then they have done quite a few stranger films. I mean, I think Swiss Army Man is an A24 film.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it's like the big popular ones that you kind of associate with being a kind of kind of vibe. But oh yeah, there's loads of stuff. Yeah,
it's found itself very high on my films I'm looking forward to this year very quickly with just that trailer, I think.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested. I will go and watch the trailer then. You don't think it gives away too much?
I don't think it really gives away much at
so.
all. I think
No,
it's quite sparsely cut, so it gets you a vibe of what it's going to be about, but without really spoiling very much.
Yeah.
I also saw a trailer at the cinema, which about a movie I've not heard of at all, called Unwelcome. Have you guys heard of this or seen a trailer for this? So it stars Hannah John Kamen, who played Jill Valentine recently in Resident Evil.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see the trailer for this at Scream.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I was. Yeah. It was weird seeing a trailer on the screen, which I literally had no idea that this film was even a thing. What is it like? Some kind of murderous goblins?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
elves or something. Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't see the trailer, but you've got me on board straight with murderous goblins.
Murderous goblins or elves or little people. So apparently, it's like there's a couple from London move into rural Ireland. Hannah John Kamen is pregnant, and the other person is, I recognize the dude. He's
not pregnant.
He's not pregnant, apparently, but and they're like, oh, we got to go and give a blood offering to something, and they go, to what? And then they say the red hats or something. They say something like that.
Something like that, yeah, like little red boxes or something.
You could have written the copy for this, Ben, because I just looked it up on Letterboxd here, and it describes the ne'er-do-wells of this film as malevolent, murderous goblins.
Oh. Wow.
So they've taken it just a step further, but
well, even looking at the poster, there's like a farmhouse, and it looks like there's a big shadow of what can only be a malevolent, murderous goblin, because it's got little pokey ears, and you can see it's got like a little knife in its hand, little bastards. So it could be fun. Maybe not a cinema visit, but it's definitely on my radar now. There's something that could be interesting.
I'm going to pay attention to that. I've not seen a good goblin movie since the last bit of Cat's Eyes.
Isn't there a TV series called Elves though?
Yes, there is a new TV series called
Elves.
Elves.
It is, yeah. What about Ernest Scared Stupid? Was that more like Trolls, I guess?
Yeah, let's not get into generalizing and saying that elves and goblins are the same. We'll get letters.
Elves, goblins, what are they, fairies or something? We need a scary fairies movie, don't we?
It was
it's the two fairies
Irish
one.
Yeah, there's Darkness Falls. There's like an Irish one where a guy and a little family, they move into like these little wood house thing, and they get attacked by fairies, and he turns into a fairy.
He turns into a fairy?
I think so. I can't remember. It was made by the guy who directed The Nun.
Okay.
So they just will be then. No need to explain in these bad boys. They'll just be here.
Corin Hardy. The Hallow, it's called. Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good.
Charlie mentioned that. When I said the little elves or something, she was like, oh, have you heard of a film called The Hallow? And I hadn't. So you said that was all right as well?
Yeah, I think they were like little fairies or something. But not nice fairies.
Horrid ones.
Horrid fairies. No, I mean, no. Are any fairies nice? Tinkerbell was a twat.
Was she?
Shudder. Yeah, she's dead jealous, isn't she?
Dead jealous, and she did something bad. What did she do?
Didn't she grass him up to Captain Hook?
Yeah, she did. Do you remember the fairy from
Gossipy?
And the fairy from Legend was terrifying as well. The little, because she loved. They're always in love.
Fairy from Pan's Labyrinth for a bit goblin looking. Yeah.
Something about the fairy in Legend used to terrify me, even though there's like the Tim Curry is the darkness. There's like a witch, a swamp witch. Out of everything, it was the fairy that scared me the most. Terrifying.
Harsh times growing up in the area we grew up. Things like even the nice things were quite horrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I do remember her actually. She's like,
she's all angry and Tom Cruise was like, I can't be in love with you. You're a fairy, and she's like, oh, you stupid twat.
So she emotionally abused him.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that is pretty much it for news. I would say.
The only other bit of news I saw, Ben, just to sneak one under the door here. After we talked about it last week, I thought it was I thought it was just I thought it was already all she wrote, but apparently there's a little bit more. Apparently now Why the Last Man is officially cancelled because they've also given up trying to find someone else to take it. So officially all done.
Bloody hell.
Which is a shame, but again, like we were saying last week, just kind of disincentivized to see it now. And for all I know, it could be very good, but
it's annoying because it's like if only people. Oh, yeah, it is annoying because it's like it's amazing it exists. It's out there. That property got turned into a TV show, but the fact is, it will probably end on some level of cliffhanger that they want to rectify in season 2. Yeah. So that is definitely frustrating. I've only got a few episodes to go, so I might as well finish it. I don't know.
You can watch it for us, Ben. It can be your duty.
You just have to make the rest of the story up in your head. Or just read the comics.
Just read those books, yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. Has anybody seen anything of note this last week?
Well, so the Hawk and Cleaver movie night on the Facebook group, go and join the Hawk and Cleaver Facebook group, and we have movie nights every now and again. We watched Cargo, which was the Martin Freeman. He gets bitten by a zombie and has to take his little baby to safety. We reviewed on this podcast ages ago. I think.
We did. Can you give me a year or a date?
2018.
2018, correct.
Wow.
24th of May, 2018.
I was going to say that. It's pretty good actually. I mean, I actually kind of preferred it more this time. Watched it a second time, but I tend to find that I actually do prefer movies when I rewatch them.
Was there like a creamy Dolce de Leche
zombie? Dolce de Leche zombies.
Yeah, there was.
I just wanted to have a little taste. Just want a little taste of that Dolce de Leche.
It was okay. I liked it. It's good.
Anything else?
Eternals, which is on Disney+.
Oh yeah, Eternals. Okay.
We all watched Eternals this week.
We all watched Eternals. However, I still got a bit of it to watch because I was going
to say the same.
I started watching it, and my daughter was like falling asleep a bit, and I was a bit like, I think I had like an hour left, and it's quite long. It's like 2 hours, 2 hours 40 minutes.
It's a biggie.
So I think I left it for a moment, but I don't know. I don't want to be negative because there's still an hour to go. There still is an hour to go, so it could rectify itself. But I was a little bit bored at times.
Yeah,
there were a few times I was a bit bored, and even during some of the action scenes, I was a bit like, and it's got loads of people in it who I really do like, and
I quite liked the overall twist of what was going on, like why they were there. But yeah, it does feel it was quite boring.
Stakes are incredibly high, though, aren't they? I think. With the MCU, it's one of those things where, I don't know, the stakes have been so high that now we need to take a step back and allow the stakes to be a bit.
You've got to try and rebuild to something else again, haven't you? You've got to spend some time introducing things that don't pay off in a huge way, like cosmically beyond that movie, before you can build up the next big thing. I would say no spoilers for your last hour or anything. I won't talk about the ending, or if anyone hasn't seen it at all. I think it's a big ask to have so many characters.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and not annoyingly, they kind of they work as a group and as a unit. So it's really hard because you wouldn't be able to intro these characters in their own movie one at a time. You're not going to build them up like you did the Avengers. So you have to you kind of have to introduce them all at once. But there's so many people that you're going to zero in on 2 or 3 of them. And they kind of do that. But when some of your smaller characters are, some of the actors they've got in these roles and how famous they are, it's a really, really tough ask. I think some of them, as you get to the end, you get to the last hour, there are 2 or 3 that really stand out, and I kind of really enjoyed seeing the end of.
Gemma Chan, is already in Captain Marvel, right?
She's one of the Kree people.
That's annoying. Something about that like bothers me. Like I don't know. When like a character gets recast, it's like, okay, it's probably for the best, but something about it kind of like chips away at me. And I feel like that when
it's because the MCU in particular is quite out of most franchises, it's quite solidly built, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like the recastings do kind of chip away at it a bit.
Why on earth did they like? Why did they cast the same person?
Like just like, you're pretty good, you should do more.
It's insane. It's just like,
and then she's become quite famous, so it's like, oh,
you want to do that?
Let's get you into a bigger role now.
Yeah, maybe it's because she was in like Kree makeup, wouldn't she? I guess in the last one in Captain Marvel, isn't that right?
Yeah,
so she was a bit green, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, I will finish it though.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's at worst, it's the thing of a Marvel MCU movie, right? That I think that the worst MCU movies are still just fine. It's like pizza, even bad pizza is still fine.
Yeah. It was the only one I didn't. It was the only MCU movie I haven't seen at the cinema as well. Now there must have been a reason for that. I think I did attempt to go a couple of times, and like the show.
How is it? Because I've not seen Black Widow either. I think they're the only MCU movies I've not seen. Black Widow and the rest of Eternals. Which one do you think is the better movie?
I think I prefer Black Widow because Florence Pugh is excellent in it.
Florence Pugh is amazing. What's his name? I was about to say he's amazing. I've forgotten his name. David Harbour is great as well. And even though the villain and the threat isn't so great and isn't so strong, I think you get away with having an interesting group of characters. In terms of like Eternals having so many characters, they obviously introduce everyone, but when they're getting the band back together, it goes on forever. I'm like, oh god, they got someone else to find, have they? Oh, just send a text, group text.
They mentioned this a bit later, spoilers, Ben, but only Gemma Chan really uses a mobile phone.
Grow up, the loss of you. One of them's dead good with technology as well. Come on, you should have invented the iPhone before Steve Jobs. You should have beat him to it, but he didn't. Pathetic.
Maybe you gave him the idea. He's just giving people the idea because he gets dead pissed off.
Oh yeah, that's right. He just
contributing to the atom bomb. He's like, oh, what have I done?
What have I done? Oh, it was a laugh doing it. The only other thing I've seen is after watching Interview with the Vampire last week, I thought I'd go and watch Queen of the Damned because I didn't remember all that much about it. And it is pretty kind of naff, unfortunately. There's not much going on. The plot is like pretty much threadbare. It relies too much on people looking attractive rather than like any sort of story. Aaliyah is like amazing, but she's only in it like 3 times. This is the thing, like she's so prominent on the poster and everyone kind of remembers Queen of the Damned for Aaliyah in one of her only sort of big Hollywood roles, that and Romeo Must Die.
Oh, yeah.
And yet she's literally in it like 3 times, and they sort of make out that she's the mother of vampires. She's the strongest vampire that there ever was. How could she possibly? Oh, she's been beaten. That's pretty much it. It's a proper like lightweight film. It's very, very noughties in terms of the soundtrack. So the soundtrack is a lot of it's written by Jonathan Davis from Korn, and he's performing a lot of the songs. But the actor Stuart Townsend, who plays Lestat, is singing. But when he's singing, because he wakes up and becomes a rock star, obviously, when he's singing, it's like Jonathan Davis's voice coming out, which is very, very strange.
Such a unique, like, specific voice as well.
I mean, he doesn't do any of that, but still, it is a very like, I think 2002, so it came out the same year as Blade 2, right?
Okay, that kind of rings true in my head. Like those kind of movies sit together. Blade 2 is a little bit cheesy, but Blade 2 I do love quite a bit.
Yeah.
Even though there's like really ropey CGI at times.
I kept thinking while watching Queen of the Damned, I wish I was watching Blade 2.
Wish I was watching Blade 2 right about
and there's
now.
There's no familiarity between the character of Lestat in Interview with the Vampire and this film, like at all. Like you would never think it was the same character. Maybe that was a choice because I think somebody said that they changed a lot of it from the book to try and take away some of the rights from Anne Rice somehow.
Oh, okay. So they're trying to dick an author out of like the royalties.
Lestat, he's actually a bit of he's all right, you know. He's all right. He's a laugh.
Yeah.
He's a right laugh. So that was pretty much that. So there we go. Is that everything for everybody?
That's it. I've been playing a ton of The Outer Wilds still, which is a great game. I wouldn't say it's horrible, but it does have some scary moments, like when you're sort of out in the little pockets of space trying to find stuff, and then something jumps out at you. There's some scary moments, but really good game. Like a puzzle. I think I talked about it last week. Like a puzzle exploration game, if you're into that kind of thing. Very much recommend it.
I feel like I can live through you. You can tell me about it because I've heard it's great. Just, again, haven't found the time to play it, but
yeah,
I can do what I've been watching in one hit because, of course, we were all excited. Scream is coming out, new Scream, latest entry in a franchise. So to celebrate that, I've been doing the best that you can do to prepare for a new Scream movie coming out and watch loads of movies from a completely different franchise, unconnected to this whatsoever. So
classic.
I'm following up from a previous episode though. After we watched our old mate Chucky in some Child's Play, I've been blazing through some of those. I've just got one more of the original series to do. So I've done Child's Play 2 through 6, I guess. So they start getting titles rather than thing you have to say. Child's Play 2 and 3, and then it was Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and then most recently The Curse of Chucky. And you know what?
And then the TV show. Did you do the TV show?
Well, I'm going to do that last.
Okay.
And I've seen, I saw the non-related Child's Play movie a few years ago on a plane, so I'm not going to go. Don't need to do that again. That was perfectly good. Though I didn't dislike it. Gets a mention in today's film, actually, doesn't it? But we're going to finish off the series with the Cult of Chucky, and then I'm going to watch the new series because apparently that's been really well received. And I will say something for these Chucky movies. I think of the 80s born slashers, probably the most consistent.
Oh,
probably the most consistent. There are good and bad about them. There are some where the effects are a little aged. There are some where, like Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky in particular, you can tell they are late 90s, early 2000s movies for the sensibilities and the writing and the tone and the soundtrack in Bride of Chucky specifically. But there's actually a lot of fun to be had with them, and it doesn't really, especially I think it hasn't really run out of ideas. They're still going with new ideas, fresh kills and things like that. And I think a lot of it is down to that all of them, he starts directing later on as well. All of them have the same writer.
Yeah, is it all Don Mancini?
Yeah, it's all Don Mancini. So he is stuck with the franchise throughout.
And the TV show and everything, right?
You can really tell. You can really tell that basically this is someone who is, and I'm sure when he wrote the original Child's Play in the 80s, he didn't think that he would be writing things for it all these years later and carrying it on. But because he has, it really kind of, I assume he's put some work in to make sure that they don't just write everything off and they don't just forget things that came previously. It works pretty well. It works pretty well, and I've grown in fondness for this series we're watching through. I'm going to get and finish it and then watch the new series, which apparently everyone I've spoken to has watched it, says it's really good. So I'm looking forward to getting on it.
Yeah, it's definitely on the list for me as well, the show.
Yeah, I'm just looking online. You can get like the complete 7 movie collection. It's quite expensive. It's like 73 quid. But it's tempting. Blast through them all.
Blast through them all and then just sling the DVDs out a window. Done. Goodbye.
Yeah, but that's it. Apart from the film of the week.
Yep.
Film of the week, 5 Cream.
5 Cream.
5 creams. Okay, so film of the week is Scream, also informally known as Scream 5. as if you're mates with it. You know, if you're mates with a film, you can go, all right, Scream 5, and it'll go, all right. But if you just call him Scream, he'll be like, I don't know you very well. Please call me
Mr. Scream.
Mr. Scream. It's Mr. Scream to you, not Mr. Five Cream. So it's a 2022 American slasher film directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. They're the guys who directed Ready or Not from 2019, possibly. Written by James Vanderbilt and James Vanderbilt, is that the guy from Dawson's Creek? No. And Guy Busick. It is the 5th installment in the Scream film series. And though billed as a relaunch of the film series, the film is a direct sequel to Scream 4. And it's the first in the series not to be directed by Wes Craven. 25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges, and Sidney Prescott must return to uncover the truth.
Yeah, so I'm just looking. So the guys are called Radio Silence, right? There's the directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, and it looks like Guy Busick is the other one who was a writer on both.
Okay,
I think it's three altogether. And then there's this James Vanderbilt. Oh, he was a producer. Oh, he's sticking his oar in.
I think the killer should be. Shut up, James.
I'm a producer. Come on.
He wrote. He wrote Darkness Falls, which we talked about. He also wrote Zodiac.
Wow.
He had a part in writing Zodiac, and The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
It's new, isn't it? It's not out yet. Is that the new Transformers?
It is a new Transformers.
He's writing everything. He's all over it.
Darkness Falls as well. I remember kind of liking Darkness Falls. It was a long time ago. It's probably doesn't hold up that well. But I'll watch that again.
Interesting.
Ratings is looking okay. It's looking okay. It's not over people aren't going mental for it. So Rotten Tomatoes, critics have it at 76% and the audience have it at 84%. IMDb is at 7.3 out of 10. Letterboxd is at 3.7 out of 5. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is the 5th Scream finds the franchise working harder than ever to maintain its meta edge and succeeding surprisingly often. And there's quite a few reviews on Letterboxd. There's not too many good ones in the sense that like notable or worth bringing up. There was one that was good though. Sergio Steinbolz said, "I can't believe the killer was the friends we made along the way," and he gave it 5 stars, which is quite
Not
nice.
again.
Yeah. So this was a Scream movie. Was it everything you guys expected it to be?
This was a Scream movie, wasn't it? Touching on it there, when they talked about the meta element is front and center, almost like a character of its own, because obviously the meta element in the previous films was kind of like touched upon and was kind of ever present, but this kind of goes a step further where everybody at every turn is kind of talking about it as if it is a horror film going on, accusing people of being the killer. You could be the killer, where you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. Most characters involved are aware. Where obviously we had Randy in the first film, who was the in for the audience, to be aware of how the film was a meta sort of slasher. This is so far down the rabbit hole of that. But I do agree. I think for the most part, it does succeed. It doesn't feel like too much. It doesn't feel like, oh God, stop going on about that now. Sick of it. And the fact that they've got like a Randy replacement character to try and bring the rules of these movies to 2022.
And one of them is a jock, and the other one's like a cool modern lesbian girl.
Like it's very knowing, isn't it? It kind of wears its heart on its sleeve, where it's knowing. It's like, okay, here are all the cliches from horror movies that we're going to talk about. And we're very aware that even this film that you're watching right now is firmly within those cliches, sits firmly within those cliches. But we're going to commentate. It's got a commentary that runs through it.
In many ways, only Scream can really do this because of its history of kind of a meta narrative of doing this. But effectively what you're doing really well, and certainly makes our job a lot harder, and making the internet's job a lot harder of making like funny comments about this, because effectively a lot of the things in this film which are cliched or are referencing or are falling into some of those traps of the genre, basically you've hung a lampshade on that and said, yeah, like, and I'm pointing out that this is a thing and that I'm doing it. Some would argue that doesn't mean that it's okay to do it still, but it's very well done. And I think some of the meta stuff and the discussion there, it's not necessarily labored at times. Like it flows very nicely. So actually, I think it works for the most part pretty well.
And the times when it works, like really works for me. There's a couple of moments I'm like, that is genius.
Yeah.
Like that's so good. But yeah, it just feels a bit like they push it too much a little bit a few times. I feel like some of the gags, I just think, well, it's probably a bit too much. That it's too rich.
Especially away with the, when they do some of the things that are like the cuts, when they cut to other people making comments about it. There's a couple of bits where they actually go to like YouTube or something like that. Do you think they were maybe put in post because once they'd even got some feedback from the initial trailers coming out? For example, like Ben, they've come after you here. You mentioned 5 Cream because they had the chance to do it. They mention it because they're talking about Stab 8, and they're like, "Oh, I want to put 8 instead of the B. It's right there. It's right there for you to actually use it." And we're like,
I noticed the guys from the Dead Meat YouTube channel were briefly in this film as well, like as a cutaway to YouTube, which I thought was quite cool. Because I watched their video recently where they were walking around the house, the stew house. So yeah, that was. Do you think it like almost felt like an attempt to try and be like so it could avoid criticism in a way? Like, well, it's so far meta, and it's so far. It makes such commentary on fan fiction, not fan fiction, sorry, but on like fandom and the toxicity of fandom, and the reaction to sequels and recalls is something that they use a lot in this film. Obviously a reboot / sequel, and the involvement of legacy characters alongside new characters, and how those relationships and the balance of that in the movie. By commentating on it so much, is it almost like it's
you've kind of preempted the criticism that might be laid at you and said, yeah, I know, like I get it, I did it on purpose, you fucks. I guess before we go any further, we should probably say, because this is a fairly new movie, we as a rule, if you haven't listened before, first time you've joined us, we will go through the plot, we'll break it down. I guess we'll try and do it in sequence, and we won't throw out who the killer is early doors, but we will fully spoil the movie. If you haven't watched it yet and you're going to, go watch it first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's not mention who the killer is until the film reveals who the killer is. But yeah, because what they call it something at some point when they're talking about horror movies. Obviously, they talk about elevated horror a lot, and some movies get name dropped, which is cool. Babadook, It Follows, Hereditary. So I kind of appreciate the fact that the writers of this film understand that this is a film from the past that now exists in 2022, where the landscape of horror has changed drastically. So let's talk about that and understand where Scream now sits within this new realm of horror, because they also mentioned that there's a Stab sequel that tried to go in the route of modern horrors and it just didn't work.
There's also the one where it had like a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Ghostface had like a flamethrower weapon.
That was the one that no one likes, right? In the story, it's the one that was really poorly received.
I kind of wish that the Stab movies existed, though.
Yes.
When they talk about watching them on Netflix, I'm like,
I wish they would actually just create them, even if they were only like shorts. If they just made a couple of little scenes from them, I'd love that. I'd love to see those with like Tori Spelling as Sidney Prescott.
Yeah, because there's a moment where one of the characters scrolls through the cast.
Yeah, because we did it on a quiz. It was a quiz question a couple of years ago. Who played
Sidney Prescott in Stab within Scream? That was my final question.
Knew it.
Like the second or first quiz even.
And I knew it was Tori Spelling just because I got it wrong. And as she was kind of scrolling through the things, I saw Tori Spelling. I was like, it's Tori Spelling. You say it's Tori Spelling. And then she didn't. She said someone else.
It's Heather Graham, who is the...
I always remember it, and I think I did get it right in the quiz. And the reason I remember it is because there's an actual quote in the first movie, or maybe the second movie, Probably the first movie actually, where
They
they say,
mention
"Oh,
who's playing me in the movie, and it's like Tori Spelling,
yeah." I think she makes a joke. So who could it be? Tori Spelling, and it is.
and then it is yeah.
Well, I feel like the meta stuff, overall, I think that this Scream movie is probably, I, mean, I think it was the best version of a Scream movie that came out in 2022 that could come out, and it does that. So it's doing all the meta stuff in the exact way I imagine Wes Craven would have done it if he was doing. It's like it's his New Nightmare, but for the Scream franchise. I can't see how they could have done it any differently, to be honest. Like, it feels almost like this is how a Scream movie had to. If it was once going to come out today, this is the only way it could work.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's the best Scream movie that we could have had while still being a Scream movie. Although I have made myself sad now because I think it might be the best idea I've ever had. With you mentioned it was this Wes Craven's New Nightmare thing. They should have made this actually Freddy Krueger coming back. It would have blown my mind.
You mentioned that before, didn't you?
Yeah. But that being said, like, I think when the Radio Silence guys came out and they said they wanted to do something that would have been in keeping with what Wes Craven would have done and how he would have wanted to do this movie. Can't speak for Wes Craven. Do not know him. We've never met. But I feel from the film we got and from seeing Wes Craven's, like, several of his other films, from as much as I know, I think that they nailed it. I think that they did do something that would have been in keeping with what he would have done.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the new group, which I was a bit worried about not enjoying all these new characters. But I think I enjoyed everybody, and everybody had a place, and everybody had an interesting quirk or, you know, something going on that was interesting to witness. I do like the meta stuff. I don't think it ever took it too far in terms of being like a whodunit and the mystery elements of it. I was a bit underwhelmed by how that was sort of.
Did you so hang on? Did you guess the killers? I think we might have talked about this outside the podcast.
No. So
Okay.
I didn't guess the killers, but I also feel like it could have been anybody. And do you know if they attributed
That's a good point. Yeah.
the same reasoning for why the killer was committing these murders, the same reasoning to anybody else, it would have also fit.
You could have got away with it. I did guess the killer, but I guessed everyone was the killer at some point, and I changed my mind about it. Yeah. So the person who actually was the killer, I guessed really early for the wrong reason, and then discounted this person.
I thought that was a red herring. I thought it was a red herring.
Only to come back in. Yeah, but it was the murder mystery element of it I really enjoyed. And I'll say it just because we've touched on it. I think the only opportunity that I really felt was missed from the meta commentary is there was lots of talk of elevated horror and so on. But at the same time, bearing in mind that you are the writers and producers of a continuation of a slasher movie, they did talk about slashers having a place, but I think they could have, for my money at least, dug the knife in a little bit on the fact that elevated horror is a wanky way for people who are interested in awards to award a horror movie when it's just good, where actually horror movies can just be good. Like very good horror movies are just horror movies. There isn't an elevated horror movie which makes it a different genre, so therefore okay to give it an award. Like, would
you prefer that term to be like arty horror, farty horror?
Yeah, because elevated I think gives the term that it is by its nature superior to
maybe just
to a regular horror film.
Could have just called it modern. I don't know. Well, I'd say modern horror. Obviously,
it comes down to things like Get Out and stuff. Being that it's not a horror movie though, is it? And this is like kind of the genesis of things like elevated horror, because they first presented it as, oh well, it's not really a horror movie; it's more of a thriller. And like, no, it's a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I kind of expected it to maybe push the envelope just a little bit more. I feel like at times it strayed into slightly generic territory. Not for too long, just a bit here and there, slightly generic in terms of territory. But also, I just think overall, I know I said I was a little bit underwhelmed. I think by the time that third act came along, and even though the third act is announced with a welcome to the third act, it did feel like I kind of enjoyed the third act of Scream 4 and only the third act of Scream 4 for the same sort of reasons. So that's why I just feel like, in terms of, if you stand Scream 4 up against Scream 5, this one, obviously, I don't know how different the motives are in terms of killer. Yeah. I don't know how different the motives are. I mean, I know they are on the surface quite different, but it's kind of about, again, spoilers, I'm not going to reveal too much. It's kind of about notoriety. That's kind of all it's about. And I don't know, I feel like the fact that was the MO in the same way that Scream 4 was, it made me feel a bit like, oh, I've kind of been there, done this. I want something else. There's a particular character who's related to a character from the first movie. And I thought, oh my God, if they do this, then what if this happens as well? What if they go? I just thought of the iconic nature of how a potential ending that I was thinking of, which I will get into, could have worked out. So yeah, I guess a bit disappointed. And by saying that anyone could be the killer, that's what made me feel like it was a tad generic. Because for me, one of the best motives and reveal of a killer is in Scream 2. I guess spoilers for Scream 2. It's Billy Loomis, the original killer from Scream. It's his mum. You know, and I felt that, and I felt her rage, and I sort of felt, but I don't know, with Scream 4, and especially this one, I'm like, do I really believe it? Do I really believe that this, I don't know, the lack of a personal connection to these characters,
you mean, like,
makes me feel like
these guys just met. I
guess.
I know you mean there is no personal connection. They just wanted to make a thing.
But that being said, I think some of the kills are brutal, and some of the ways things pan out is quite interesting, and the introduction of certain. To be fair, in terms of legacy characters, only one really stood out to me. The others were kind of just there, and I felt like that with Scream 4, but with a sort of a different character being in the focus to Scream 5. I don't know if it was scary as such, because I always kind of felt the scare. I always felt kind of scared, but you know, like the tragedy of some of the Scream movies, like Drew Barrymore's character dying when she can see her family kind of driving up the music, just that swell of the strings when she's like being stabbed and she's so close to being, and then they pick up the phone and she's there. There's something about the tragedy of that. Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. I never felt it. I felt like it was nearly getting there with some of the kills, nearly feeling that pain and that thing.
13 Reasons Why guy, I started to feel it a little bit. Yeah. I know what you mean. It that tragedy. A good example, I think, is I know you did last summer. You know where one of the characters, it's Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's like running away through the shop. She's running away for ages, like surviving, and then she makes it just before where there's like a parade on the main street. Just pulled back. And then like murdered as the fireworks start going up.
Again, that's the same writer. That's the same writer of Scream, is it? What's his name?
Kevin Williamson, William Kevinson.
I just feel like it was lacking that, and all the characters were written really well. All the dialogue was really good. The dynamic between sisters was good. Kind of having like a duo as final girls was interesting as well. I think that was quite a cool.
Well, there was loads of them by the end.
There was loads of them. Everyone's bloody surviving here.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, how does it start?
Classic Scream start, right? It's someone making. I'm not sure if we confirm if it's popcorn, but someone's in the house hanging out,
making avocado on toast or some shit.
Yeah,
smashed avocado on toast. So I mean, again, it's really aware of the. Sorry, it's really aware of the generation it's kind of represented as well now. I think even one of the characters refers to a lot of people as Gen Z as well. So it's very aware of, sometimes when it's like, it feels like these teenagers have been written by just a 45-year-old bloke. Sometimes when you watch a film, but with this, I do really believe.
This one felt like it was written by 45-year-old blokes.
Yeah, 45-year-old blokes. Are you a bloke or you a kid? Well, I don't know.
I think they did all right for like a film that has at least technically 3 generations worth of main characters in play here. And I think it works. I think it works reasonably well. Like the dialogue, I think hangs together fairly nicely. Many ways, though, guys, like this whole generational gap that everyone's obsessed with. It's just a way to keep us apart. We should be together. Come on, solidarity against the man. Yeah, we start with what's the character's name?
Tara.
Tara. It was a Tara or a Sarah, but it is a Tara. Apparently Tara here, Jenna Ortega, she's in X, the new A24.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, she is doing basically a take on the original entry to Screen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe actually the only generational thing that doesn't work, unless maybe I don't understand Gen Z. Maybe Gen Z answer landlines again, because
she
I certainly don't have
answer it, right? Like she leaves it and she texts someone and says like the landline's ringing. It's like an unusual thing.
And they say let's ring it. I mean, the fact that they even still have one, madness.
Yeah, that is
unknown
madness.
number ringing as well. Could it bloody hell?
Everybody call center when I went answer that.
So she picks up the phone. She's been texting her friend Amber at the same time. And she picks up the phone, and then she thinks it's her mother's boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
for someone from group.
And I thought they weave that into the reveal that it's actually the killer quite well. Like the sudden realization that this isn't mum's boyfriend, this is somebody else.
Yeah, I mean we knew because it was the voice.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, it's got like a game, not a game show. It's like Chris Tarrant on a Sunday morning after he's been drinking the night before, and he's like a game show host, but he's kind of tired.
Does that voice changer change women's voices into the
Apparently
same thing?
so.
That's kind of nuts. How would that even work?
Wonderful
I like how
technology.
they have it now built into the collar. It's like a little LED on it as well.
Yeah. That was cool. I like that little moment.
It's like Mission Impossible mask technology.
Yeah,
because that's the first time we've seen Ghostface masked talking with Ghostface voice, isn't it? Like actually there. I think usually he's just a silent type.
Mm.
And goofy type who just completely trips over everything and
absolutely stacks it all the time. Although you must think the actor that does the Ghostface voice probably can't even phone his family anymore.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if between films he works at a call center. Hello, I'd like to talk to you about your long distance service. Fuck, it's Ghostface. Hang up. And you can't phone back and tell people not to hang up on you again.
He's always trying
don't hang up, you little bitch.
He's never been able to get anyone to play snooker with him. Calling people that if you want to play a game. Oh.
You want to play a game of snooker? I love snooker. It's play lovely. I'm colorblind now.
I think so. He asks her favorite horror movie, and then she says The Babadook, and then she's like, "I like it because it's elevated and it's got thematic, blah blah, arty farty, blah blah." And then, he's like, "Have you ever seen the Stab movies?" She's like, "I'm not into slashers or something like that." I don't know. She rips into Scream essentially. But then I can't remember how it's revealed that he is actually Ghostface.
He just chips along and says like, "Oh, has she? She told me that you like this one. And do you remember there's a bit when they ask if they like to play a game? How about you play? And you tell me, do you want to play a game?" And it's like, this isn't Saw. I mean, what's your favorite scary movie? And then she hangs up, and then she is spooked at that time. And then is convinced to answer the phone again because Amber texts back and says, "Oh, do you want to? You might want to get that." Because how do you know my phone was ringing? So, "Oh, not Amber, is it, mate? It's me, the killer." And he's cloned her phone.
I've only got to clone your phone.
And also, it's like taking video footage of Amber outside the window or something.
Just brushing her hair, as you do.
Yeah, well, not me. Some people do.
So brush your hair by an open window.
Touchy subject.
So at some point, like she locks the door. She's got like a little app on her phone that lets her lock all the doors in one go. It's quite handy. But then I guess he must have cloned that phone as well. because
he's just off cloning all the phones, isn't he? He should get involved in that. Don't worry about killing people. Just make a living cloning phones.
Yeah. I can't remember at some point. So she starts asking the questions about Stab, and she gets that one about Tori spelling wrong.
Yeah. So he says,
I'm going to get Amber. Yeah,
I'm going to kill Amber unless you answer these questions about Stab. She's like, I don't know anything about those movies. They suck. And then she says, like, oh, what was the name of who did Tori Spelling play or something like that, wasn't it? And
so she gets 2 out of 3 right, which are basically like, who is the main person? Sidney Prescott. Who is the reporter that's Gail Weathers?
If it was Name Game, she'd be playing on beginner.
Yeah. But then the last one makes it a bit harder. This is like the final one because he asks, it's not the Tori Spelling answer, because that would have been that's Sidney Prescott in the Stab movie. She asks who plays Drew Barrymore's character. So she asks for who is a bit part in Stab effectively, and that answer is Heather Graham. And so she's cheating. She's kind of looking through IMDb, isn't she?
She's cheating. Did you think he was going to know she cheated somehow?
Oh no, so she gets Heather Graham right, doesn't she? The one she gets wrong is she goes, oh, who was the killer? But this is like also smart. If people haven't seen the original Scream because it came out an extended time ago, like really quick catch up, isn't it? Like getting all of the main characters that you're going to need. And it's like, oh, it was Billy Loomis. Because no. Billy Loomis.
Trick question.
Billy Loomis and
Stu Barrymore.
Stu Barrymore.
How did you feel as resident quizmaster, Andy? How did you feel Ghostface delivery of questions and phrasing of questions was?
I think he did very well. I mean, I haven't got such a powerful voice as Ghostface does. Maybe I'll try and work on my Ghostface impression for the entire next quiz episode. I won't do that.
His voice is good. It's very, very good. Yeah. But Andy, you've got your own special charm. I will say. Yeah.
And you're not terrifying, which is
you don't kill people who get it wrong.
Yeah, if you get the questions wrong, what happens is you just don't get the points.
Yeah.
No one has been stabbed, as far as I know, as a result of the quiz thing. I'm not sure. Like maybe Johan was really angry with Ed afterwards.
Just give him a playful stabbing. Oh, with a blunt knife. So Ghostface, after that, obviously there's a moment where she goes to the door. What did she go to the door?
So basically he goes, all right, I'm going to stab Amber in the gut. And then she's like, oh no, she runs towards the door. She opens the door and Ghostface is not Amber's house. He's there. He slices her rib cage and then she slips to the floor. Oh, there's a horrendous bit where he kind of stamps on her ankle and like cracks it.
Yeah, and this is a more brutal Scream movie than we've seen before. I don't remember 4 very well, but I feel like the franchise has moved on with what is acceptable in a movie, and it's an 18-rated film. So I think it goes hard on this.
There are always a couple of moments in the Scream movies which are quite brutal. I think like even in the opening of the first movie,
I remember the Drew Barrymore bit being
boyfriend.
a bit
Casey's boyfriend gets gutted. I think he gets sliced and his like entrails are hanging out, if I remember right. And just a couple of those really quick zooms on like Drew Barrymore's corpse when she's hanging from a tree. That's like pretty brutal, I think. But in this movie, I feel it definitely took it to the next level where there are certain stabbing sprees in this movie where I was like, oh Jesus, that is horrible.
That would come sharp.
How sharp is that knife? It's like a lightsaber as well. Like he just touches skin sometimes and goes through it. Yeah. So he stabs and she catches it in her hand, and she's not having a good time at all. I think she kind of like she's able to kick him off a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a classic Scream thing where he's not by any means a flawless killer. He gets like bashed with a door, falls over a little bit,
so skidding on the floor and he can't catch his balance.
I think he falls and like literally smashes his head on like kitchen worktop at one point as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, clumsy.
Yeah. But then I think she's like crawling away, but she's already been stabbed by 3 times by that point. He gets on top of her, and I was surprised that she lived through this because she gets stabbed like 8 times or something. And it seems incredibly brutal.
And it's quite a good shot as well when the killer sort of looks up and you see the police are arriving, and the flashing lights on the mask. And does he do the classic clean my bloody knife off? Got to do that.
Yeah,
Loves a hand wipe with the knife. I
yeah.
think you have to be careful with that because that. If I was the
Yeah.
scream killer, I'd definitely cut my hand.
Definitely.
Well, yeah.
Bloody
Later on, what's her
hell.
name does it without those special gloves on as well.
Yeah.
But I was kind of amazed that Tara 2600, whatever her name is, doesn't die. Like I
Yeah.
thought that was quite an interesting move. That's how it works. Intro people die, and then that sets the stakes for the rest of the film. But yeah, she survives.
Yeah, I don't know. How did that make you feel? Was I thinking, okay, so the person who's doing the killings isn't as much of a
He's crap at killing.
It's crap at killing. I mean, done a few stabs. Obviously, a certain character does say later on, won't reveal who, I'm going to stab the organs that I missed.
Yeah.
You the first time. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yes, it is a classic Scream beginning, and maybe going back to basics for this movie was kind of what it wanted to do, because the beginning of Scream 4 with all the fake outs and this happened. Oh no, actually they're watching this film. Oh no, they're watching that film was a bit too much. So perhaps back to basics, yeah. But I don't know. I was feeling like we were going to get something, I don't know, a bit bigger in terms of scale. Again, I'm talking the Scream 2 beginning in the cinema again. I don't know. Just
it's your meta narrative though. This one is it that you have to go back to the original when you're bringing a series back like this. So again, what they've done there then is anticipated your criticism, and they've hung a little lampshade on that and gone. Is it though, Ben?
They've got
or are you
number.
the problem?
I mean, yep, it's probably me.
They've got you. They've got you. Checkmate. Snookered.
So then
absolutely snookered.
I think we either cut to Tara's sister Sam and her friend, who's the guy from
the boys.
The boys, yeah. Who I was going in. I don't know. I thought I wasn't going to like any of these other characters, but they all won me over pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Even the boys guy, because you're like the boyfriend of the sister, you kind of expect him to be like, you quite heavily lean into thinking that's probably going to be the killer. But
yeah,
by the end of it, you kind of really like him.
Yeah,
like
Jack Quaid is a very charming guy, isn't he? And he's not dissimilar from his character in The Boys, that he's kind of like nice and a little bit wet, like
charming, innocent, little bit of a donut.
He does say, you are my boner pills.
Yeah, that's like one of his first lines.
Yeah.
You are my boner pills. And I thought, smooth. I went, smooth, absolutely. I've quickly wrote that one down.
Yeah.
For future reference.
If I ever see someone, like, unfortunately, it requires the other person to know the setup to it, like, because they have to say, what are you doing? What are you taking? I'm taking your boner pills, so soz. And they'd be like, well,
it's too complicated. It could never happen organically. So obviously
he must have had that in the chamber for months. Come on.
Yeah.
Every time she eats something, just even having an orange one day. What are you eating? God, say boner pills.
Say boner pills. He needs to just not gonna happen. So obviously Tara, who fights back and survives, and it is them we're introduced. So it's Jack Quaid and Melissa Barrera, who plays Samantha, who's Tara's like estranged sister who's moved away. And then a guy called Wes gives her a call and says, listen, got to say something. Bad news, afraid. Tara, she's been attacked. She's alive. And I think when she said she was alive, I was like, what?
Yeah, same.
She's what?
And it's like, I know you hear Wes's voice, but now thinking back to it, I feel like in my head, it's always going to replay like it's one of the, like it's a on the phone. What? She's been stabbed? She's alive,
stabbed. So that basically brings Sam Carpenter, who's got a connection to Woodsboro in more ways than one, back to the town, and she takes Sam. She's Sam. She takes Richie along with her. He comes along, and on the way, he's getting the lowdown of the history of Woodsboro, and because he's never seen the stab movies.
No. And he's like, isn't that just a Halloween movie? And they said, no, it's very different. And he said, it sounds like a Halloween movie. Yeah. So it's taking a jab at itself. It's like a stand-up comedian who comes out and says, I know what you're thinking. It's just like the Halloween movies. And everyone laughs and goes, yeah, it is.
It is. It's like a stand-up comedian.
Deflated, Yeah, deflated the whole
I know what you're thinking.
heckles
Ugly,
before they come.
ugly bastard. Yeah. Oh, I've heard it all before. Ugly bastard, bold, stinks. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
Like preempting the
they've,
heckles.
they've got it. You're like, yeah, it is a lot like Halloween, isn't it? And then they mention like, oh, they do what the franchise does very well. Like they give themselves that one step further towards the real world, if you like, because they mention. I think they mention Friday the 13th and they mention Halloween in this little scene in the same way they've mentioned the Babadook and other things already. By mentioning those other things as works of fiction in their world, it's like, well, this is a bit more real. Oddly enough, little aside, what's it called? The Eternals does the same with both Superman and Batman in the same movie. They mention them as characters from fiction in the thing. So make yourself a little bit more real.
Yeah.
Very strange.
So we do, whilst they're driving to Woodsboro, Woodsboro,
yeah.
They do that like very classic high school. We cut to the high school of Woodsboro, and it's like a bit of pop punk music plays as we're introduced to the core gang. There's Amber, who was a friend from the other night. There's the twins.
Chad and Mindy.
Chad and Mindy.
Chad does a good little joke where there's like someone who's kind of hitting on his girlfriend or staring at him, and he's like, I'm gonna have to introduce him to Hobbs and Shaw. And he has his like biceps out.
Oh my god, a Fast and the Furious reference within the first 10 minutes. That's intense.
And who else is there?
There's Wes, who is the sheriff's daughter and is that boy from Goosebumps.
Yeah, and the sheriff is played, so it's Judy Hicks is the sheriff, played by Marley Shelton from Planet Terror.
And she is the deputy from Scream 4, right?
She is, yeah. So I think she gets shot in Scream 4 as well.
Doesn't matter.
Scream, as I said.
Scream.
She got shot in Scream 4.
And we have Liv, who is Chad's girlfriend, who he's asking if she'll allow him to track her on like Find My Friends app.
Oh god, I completely forgot about it.
I feel like Liv's character, they joke about her being like one of the things when they first talk about suspects, they say, well, it's not you, you're too boring to be a suspect.
Yeah.
Although she has got a very similar look. And going back to the filmmaking process here, I know that the creative team wanted Samara Weaving for this film, right?
She looks loads like Samara Weaving.
She looks a lot like Samara Weaving. Now, is that... when I think of this character, would this be a Samara Weaving role, or if you got Samara Weaving, would she be your main character?
I feel like Samara Weaving would be a fair bit older though, right? I mean, I don't know how old she is, but...
So would she be Sam? Because she is older than the high school kids.
I would say she'd be Sam. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
In that case, that actor could not have been Liv because she looks awfully like her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe she was a red herring when I kept saying she's boring, and she definitely wouldn't. I kept thinking there was going to be a moment where she says, "Boring, am I? Would someone boring do this?"
Well, she does do that, doesn't she? But she doesn't actually. Kill anyone.
Yeah, so you meet these gang and they're just talking about the murders. Wes is the same boy that phoned Sam, said about the stabbing.
Yeah. I like this group though, and I like the introduction. It was very reminiscent of the first movie where they're all sort of sat outside and you establish the characters, their relationships to each other. But I guess what was interesting here is that everyone kind of seemed nice. Whereas when you introduce to everyone like Stu and Billy in the first movie, you're like, well, Stu's an absolute nutter. He's annoying in a way. Billy's a bit of a slime ball. But with everybody here, they seem nice. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. From the word go, who could it be? I guess the character of Amber is a bit spiky, like with some of the things she's saying. She's a bit like, but already immediately from the word go, everyone's kind of accusing each other of being the killer.
Yeah. And of course, you have the sinister sleazy man in the muscle car that pulls up as well that Liv had hooked up with over the summer, who's like in the distance, like licking his lips at them.
He's a strange guy.
Licking his lips,
Pretty much just
rubbing his hands.
rubbing his balls,
rubbing his thighs through his jeans.
rubbing his belly button.
Yeah. Rubbing his belly button and then tasting it.
Oh,
Bitter.
It's hard.
getting that fluff out.
Yeah.
What's I recognize that guy though. Who is that guy?
He looks a bit like what's that singer? Post Malone. He looks he's from that kind of mold.
Yeah. I suppose you're right.
His name apparently is Vince in this. He's apparently in
Vince Clortho.
It's not Vince Clortho. I can tell you that he is in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. He is in Jennifer's Body. Not sure there's anyone
Jennifer's
significant.
Body.
He's in A Haunting in Connecticut. He's in Ghosts War.
He's in Red Eye. He's in Red State. He loves being in all the Red films.
The Cleansing Hour. Yeah, but he plays not Vince Clortho, but Vince Schneider.
Jesus Christ! I was about to say, how old is he? He's the same age as me. Is he playing a high school kid, or is he just playing a?
No, he's just some
older guy,
older dude that went out with a high school girl in the summer.
Coming to the high school and just parking up and just looking over,
farting,
rubbing my hands,
parking up and farting,
parking up and getting on my farts out before I get out of the car. That's what you got to do.
That's very that is very reminiscent. And again, maybe generations aren't so different, because I remember being at secondary school. And as a 16-year-old, all of the coolest girls have all got boyfriends who are like in their 20s and have cars. And then when you think back at it, it'd be like, they were terrible men. They were terrible men who
I'd hope
date 16-year-olds.
I definitely. Can you imagine having that conversation with your friend? So, dating anyone? Yeah, just about to go pick her up from school. Yeah. What the fuck? Wow. Do you remember being in school when like kids who didn't go to that school, or kids who'd like been expelled or something, would like lurk outside the school on their bikes?
Yeah,
in school, you bloody twat.
You're allowed to come here if you didn't fuck it up, mate. What are you doing coming in now?
Yeah, let me in, will you? No, get out of here.
Oh, give us some maths, mate. Go on. They're craving it. Go on, ask me one.
Go on.
No,
square root.
You're expelled. You're not allowed to learn anything. Oh, go on. Just give us a hint. Tell us about what King and Queens you learned about today. No, you're not allowed any schoolmate. You've been expelled.
Any 1066? Oh, we all love that. Come on, give me some. Get out of here.
What science done? Sneakers out a bit of magnesium? No. Fuck off, mate. You've been expelled. No school.
Sneakers out a bit of magnesium.
Andy
at school stealing magnesium, taking it home.
I can reminisce now that those people that were dating high schoolers in their 20s, their equivalent friends who were at high school with them probably think, look at those bunch of pedos now hanging about.
Bunch of bloody pedos. It's weird. Maybe it's just when they grew up in a generation where they watched Grease, where even though they're high school kids, they were all
You're allowed to look 35.
They were all like 35. So they were confused, Damn it. Greece has got a lot to answer for, to be honest. Yeah. After being introduced to everybody, we go to the hospital, don't we, with to see Tara, and Sam gets to the hospital with Richie. Everyone's around, sort of like going, "Are you all right? You've been stabbed like 8 times." Everyone's right in her face.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, she does. She when she speaks to Sam on her own, you realize there's a bit of history that Sam just obviously upped and left for an unknown reason at this point.
Where's the mum again?
The mum is in London,
trip in Tokyo or London.
Yeah, and apparently she says, "Oh, she called to see if I was all right." I'm like, can you imagine that? Like, your daughter's just been stabbed. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm okay. All right, see you later.
Cool.
Yeah. These flights are non-refundable. Sorry. I've got dinner tonight and a big meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'd love there to be DVD extras of like just the mom's experience in London.
Yeah.
maybe it's like a typing error, and like she'd heard like what could you mistype stabbed as that would make you think I'll just phone and check she's all right.
She's what? She's been in a slabbing accident.
She's been slabbed. Oh,
I've just been stamped. Who stamped on you? That's mean. Tell him not to do it again.
Your shoes are right.
Sorry,
You got
it's
a footprint
breaking
on
up.
them.
Stabbed.
Stan? Who's Stan? Who is Stan? Your new boyfriend?
You've been stanned. Someone
You've been
followed you
stanned.
as a fan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well done.
I've been
got an
stabbed.
obsessive
No, I've been
fan.
stabbed.
Hit me back just to chat. Truly yours, your biggest fan. This is Stan. Bye.
Oh well, I said you do well if you got yourself a TikTok. Tarek, you're very well done.
Yeah. So they go to hospital. We find out as well fairly quickly that Sam sees Skeet Ulrich, aka Billy Loomis.
Just the actor Skeet
yeah.
Ulrich.
Yeah, but also like she sees him exactly how he looks at the
To the
end
end.
of Scream.
She
Well, exactly
sees
how he
him-
looks today, but also in the same clothes with the same injuries as at the
Same,
end of
like
Scream
blood
1.
splatters and stuff. Yeah,
Which
that is
obviously-
interesting.
So he's
I
been
mean-
de-aged to a degree, hasn't he? Here,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
a bit shiny.
as a Riverdale watcher. I'll tell you that Skeet Ulrich is in Riverdale quite a bit as an older man.
Okay.
He looks very, very different now. So they've done a fair bit of de-aging, I think, to make him
Yeah.
look like that. But he's still got that kind of weird, kind of slimy, but kind of like he looks like a vampire, like a natural made vampire. Like he
looks
should
like
play
a real
vampire or
life
something.
vampire.
He could have been Lestat dancing about with that skeleton mom.
Yeah. So Sam like sees him and then she takes some tablets. She's got like anti-Skeet Ulrich tablets. That she
Yeah, you got to take
What
your
are you taking
anti-Skeet
now?
Ulrich tablets.
Boner
Your boner
pills.
pills. No,
Oh,
anti-Skeet
no.
Ulrich tablets. Don't mess
Oh,
about
yeah,
with them.
fair shame. Fair shame.
and I think it's around here. Maybe this is where she talks to her sister and tells her.
There's a little bit of a cut because these two things apparently happen simultaneously. So her and Richie stay at the hospital, and she has a lie down next to her sister, and they both have a little snooze. Whereas Richie thinks, well, all these people are talking about stab movies. I ain't being left behind. I'm going to watch them all on Netflix. So he's blitzing an 8-movie series on Netflix. I like to feel that maybe Netflix got the zeitgeist drop on this, and after there'd been a murder in Woodsboro, they were like, now's the time, drop them all on Netflix, get the series
Probably.
out, we'll get this to the top 10.
Yeah.
And they,
One movie for every stab.
So he is, yeah. They're catching up, and he's watching those. Meanwhile, the rest of the kids have gone down the snooker hall for a game of snooker. And the sleazy man turns up and is like, "Hey, baby, do you want to come for a drive with me?" And everyone goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
no."
He does do that. He goes, "Oh, come on, come with me. Don't want to hang out with these guys." I'm like, "God, you've got some cheek. You got some cheek out of you, mate. Who do you think you
Yeah.
are?"
And they all
Also-
tell him to chuff off. He gets a knife out and goes, "You want some of this?"
No.
Yeah, the worst thing in the world to do the day after someone is, it's pretty big news in town. Someone's been stabbed, go flashing a knife around people.
People don't seem to give a fuck. Like, obviously, Richie watches the stab movies in the same room. Is he in the same room as like Tara,
Yeah.
who's just
He's
been
got a
stabbed?
headphone in though.
Yeah, but what if well, somehow he plays it in the middle of the night? I don't know, like a stab sequence. She wakes up like, "Fuck! Sorry,
Didn't realise
sorry."
that the headphone cable's not all the way in, so the
Yeah.
headphones aren't even in. Just people screaming. She's having
What are you,
PTSD.
what are
in
you
the bed.
watching? What are you watching? Oh, The Notebook. Shut up.
So yeah, he's watching stab. Meanwhile, so that guy, fairly immediately, I guess, like he goes to they've had the row in the pub and he's been kicked out. And just to teach the pub a lesson, he decides to piss against it. So he goes outside and he's like, "Fucking pub, are we on you, mate? We
I
on
think,
you
like,
good
the
and
bar-
proper."
Someone working at the pub also says, "And you kids get out as well." It's like, no, hang on a minute. No, don't throw us out for being threatened with a knife by a man.
Yeah,
That's
leave
not
at the
normal.
exact same time that adult
Yeah.
who pulled a knife on you has just been thrown outside.
Get outside. Oh, he's busy pissing on the pub. He's all right.
So he was just, and he's literally chuntering away to himself, going, piss on me. He's like Muttley. He's like, he's like, so
you notice-
he's having a wee on the pub, and then someone revs his car up. For someone who's there was someone in his actual car, he doesn't react straight away. He spends a bit of time looking at it going,
I think he's just confused.
I think he's absolutely wasted as well.
Yeah. And did you recognize the needle drop at this moment as well?
No, remind me.
No.
It was Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, which is obviously very prominent in the first film, which I liked. I thought that was a nice touch.
It's a bit inconvenient that it was on that guy's radio at the time. So he
Very
is
convenient, exactly. Yeah.
He's having a little rev of the car. He goes, get out of my blooming car, you. And then when he runs over to the car, there is no one in the car. And then he gets cheeky little in and out little neck stab. Literally comes around him. He's like,
I liked it. I liked it. I like the variation in the stabs. You know, we don't want to go balls to the wall, just like stabbing the shit out of him. Just a quickly little. Boop. There you go. You
should have done the the walk off in like UFC or something when you knock someone down. You don't even wait to see what happens. You turn around, just walk away. Yeah, your arms up, victorious.
Swaggers out away.
literally walk out the building and then see the results on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty what he did with Tara.
Waiting for the newspaper the next day.
Yeah, he probably did the walk away with Tara, and it was like, oh shit,
I got disqualified. Shit.
Yeah,
he got counted as a ring out.
Shit.
Yeah, but he doesn't this time. He stabs that man. So that, and I guess again narratively it makes sense because man who is clearly a wrong un, he's not going to be a very sustainable like suspect for the whodunit element. So might as well kill him moments later.
Yeah, he was fodder. He was going to die. He knew he was going to die. Yeah.
So he's straight in the bin, and rightly so. He's a bad bloke. Not suggesting that everyone is a bad bloke should be stabbed in the neck, but in this case, yes.
I mean, he pissed on a pub. That's out of order.
That was it. Like the Ghostface killer was watching and thinking, okay,
dirty boy.
He is not dating age appropriately. That's strike one.
Yeah.
Pulled a knife on those kids. That's strike two. If he just drives off now, safely and sensibly, checks his mirrors up, he's pissed on the pub.
He's pissed on the pub. That is it. That's two strikes in some people's eyes. Get him.
Yeah, because he's slagging it off and pissing on it, so it's all over for him.
So rude. So I think Sheriff Judy Hicks, who was in Scream 4, is now she's Wes's mother, one of the friend group, and she's gathering everybody else to question them, isn't she? And I think around about the time this is happening.
So this is where it goes at the same time. So we have this murder, and at the same time at the hospital, Sam goes for a bag of crisps, get a little bag of cheddars from the snack machine, maybe a drifter. While she's there trying to get those things, Ghostface comes on in, and it's meant to be at roughly the same time. She's been having a chat with Skeet Ulrich, and he's gone, I'm your dad, you got to tell her. Got to tell your sister that I'm your dad. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that was...
Over my dead body.
I think initially we don't understand exactly why she's seeing Skeet Ulrich, do we? I was a bit confused initially.
It's not too long afterwards, though, that she tells.
It's not too long afterwards, but even then I was like, oh, I don't know. I was interested to see where they were going to go with it.
Do we learn at the same time as the sister then in a moment? But
I think so. Yeah.
Basically, he says, "Oh, you gotta do some telling," and then the phone goes, and it's Ghostface, and he's at the hospital, and he's going to get her. Shouts to the police, and he's gone. It's like a little exchange. He falls about, bangs his head on a table, gets a chair wazzed at him.
Yeah,
malignant style
chair wazzing. And the bloke who's obviously the police officer who's there to sort of protect Tara from further attacks. Jesus Christ, he's incompetent is the word. Just like goes in like, and he goes, he ain't there.
It's just
I don't believe you.
Yeah. Also, he kind of wanders away from his post all the time. Like you stay there.
Yeah.
Tall,
you stay there. He's like, nah, I can't be bothered.
Where are you going? I just said stay there. What? It's already halfway down the hallway.
I fancy texting while I'm telling you to stay and guard me.
Oh.
Yeah. So far,
Ghostface in terms of this, he's so 3 attacks, because I think even Dewey when he's added to the story, he says there's been 3 attacks, 1 dead. So far, 1 in 3 sort of kill success rate for Ghostface. Not the strongest, Is it?
Yeah, not the strongest start. But this is when the sheriff comes and says, right, I'm going to move you to your own private floor of the hospital. I would argue less safe than a really busy
Private
one.
floor? Have they got private floors going on there? It's in the middle of COVID. Come on.
American hospital, isn't it? It's all about making money.
Yeah.
Our insurance is going to be charged like private floor.
How much is this going
We
to
could
cost?
heal one stab wound for $3,000, whatever it be, or we could do some other stab wounds for the rest. You could do a deal 4 stab wounds for free.
If I pay for all of my stabs, will you throw in my poorly leg that got stomped and just do that?
No.
That's extra.
That's
entirely
extra.
different, different type of medicine. It's not.
Yeah, Wiggly's extra that.
Yeah.
So, I guess at this point, so Sam's like, okay, I've got to tell my sister. So this is where she tells her sister, look, I was in the loft one day and I found a letter, no diary entry from Mum. In the diary entry, her mum said, I had sex with Billy Loomis.
Get rid of that diary, innit? Why are you
so many words.
Why are you keeping that diary in the loft? A diary about your
Dads
infidelity.
love lofts as well. Dads are always hanging about in lofts. They're like spiders.
Yeah. It's true. A dad is prime, like a loft is prime dad territory.
Yeah.
How often would she must have been like, I'll go up in the loft to get the Christmas tree. No, I'll do it. You never know. No, I'll go up there. Don't you go up there reading through my things.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but like, when does reading a diary become rude, and when does it become? Oh, actually, it's got a horrible secret in there. So I'm glad you found it.
I think it's sweet to read a diary if the person who wrote it is dead. Other than that, unless that's rude.
Ever so sweet.
Yeah, even then, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because
but
you might think of them.
They probably want you to read their diary actually because they want it kind of keeps them alive a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, but then you might have really loved them, thought they're absolutely lovely, and you find their diary full of racism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell you what's wrong with this country.
Yeah. Put it down.
So she said that she went to confront her mum about her dad being Billy Loomis. Didn't realize that her other dad was behind her
the whole time.
The whole time.
You know,
so that he ran away crying.
I bet I know what he said because it's classic thing. She would have turned around, saw her dad, and said, "How long have you been standing there?" Long enough. Always long enough.
Yeah. But why did the mum? The mum was facing the other day. Why did the mum not go?
Well, she probably tried to. She probably did the Nathan Fillion gift there.
Oh yeah.
And then Sam would have gone, he's standing behind me, isn't he? And then he would have run away crying.
And then he would have
jumped straight out of the window.
So he left that night. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. Like, because
they say he left. He went to the loft. Just went up and got his bed out.
He went up into the loft, never to
pulled
be seen
the ladder
again.
up behind him.
Yeah.
He's in the rafters, just in amongst the
diaries.
In amongst the diaries and the wall and the insulation. Ever so furry.
Yeah, so he's out of the picture now. So she tells Sarah tells Tara this, says, yeah, so technically it's my fault you left. And then I went absolutely Busick, mate. I was taking all of the pills, all the drugs, drink myself up there because Mom made me promise that I wouldn't tell you.
And then Tara's like, all right, Captain Exposition over here. Just
But now they've also introduced an absent father as well. So it's like, okay.
Scream 6.
Okay.
6 Scream.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he's not dead. He's just left forever.
Yeah. Dissipated.
He went for a pint of milk and he never came back.
Went for a piss on a pub wall and never came back.
Never came back. Don't piss on a pub wall. That's what they say.
So he's gone, and then she gets pied off. The sister goes, right, get out.
Yeah, she reacts really aggressively, doesn't she? She's just like, Ross, so now I've been stabbed because of all your fucking nonsense. I was born into this world and all this shit's happening because of that. Piss you.
Yeah. She goes, take fuck.
Sling,
like, really?
Hook. Sling your hook.
Yeah.
And she's like, shh. And she's like, no.
No. So now this is when Sam and Richie decide to go and find a legacy character, because I think at this point when we've introduced everybody, but the audience needs something to keep them truly engaged.
Yeah.
So what better than a reclusive Dewey Riley, played by
David Arquette.
David Arquette. Jesus, I forgot his name for a second.
Yeah.
Hugh blanked. And him and Gail Weathers are split up. He's in a bad place. He's not a sheriff anymore. He's drinking. He's watching Gail Weathers morning TV. Why she's not the weather woman, I don't know, because that's the perfect name. Yeah. So they go. So he lives in a trailer as well. So Sam and Richie go to visit him, and they say, "Can we come in? I'm Billy Loomis's daughter. Let's have a chat." And he goes, "Come on in." Me and Billy were like that.
It's weird in my memories, because I've not seen Scream for a little while. When we last did it on the show, in my memories, when I think of Dewey, he's more. I mean, he is. I've got a picture behind me of Doofy from the Scary Movie movies, but in my head, he's more that way than what he actually is. And what he actually is, he's not dumb. Like he's quite shy and sweet, but he's also kind of like, when you look at him now, I don't know if it's because he's been like wrestling and stuff, but he's kind of like surly. Like he's got like he looks like he could like stand up for himself in a fight. Like he's got like a kind of sweet, soft, but kind of tough exterior. There's one bit when he's like holding a phone, and the phone is so small in his gnarled, mangled hands. It's like roots that have grown around a bit of signage or something. Like it looks bizarre.
That's a great description. I think, he comes off as like, in this film, in terms of the legacy characters, he is far more interested than anybody else. Because they've given him
like a bit of pathos or something.
Yeah, they've given him a bit of pathos. They've given him some pain.
I like what they've done with it. Like, I think he has some really nice dialogue, and it's nice and sharp. And he's clearly now, from being kind of the outsider and the slower character that has the rules of the films explained to him in the early ones. I would argue against the fact that they could do something else than have him been broken up with again. Because how often did him and Gail Weathers get back together in subsequent films? It was.
And they were also married in real life, and they're now broken up in real life. Is that right?
Yeah.
So there's some bits
still friends.
There's some bits in this film, like later on, where it actually got me like a little bit emotional because I knew that like there's like an extra layer with them being like actually kind of a divorced couple as well. I don't know. It's they were really interesting. I would have liked to see more of their interactions.
Definitely, but I just don't think in terms of Neve Campbell as Sidney and Courteney Cox as Gail Weathers, they're kind of just there. I mean, we understand. Neve Campbell's got, Sidney's got a life. She's got a baby. She's got a husband. She lives elsewhere. But other than that, like, I don't know.
Maybe you just needed David Arquette. You didn't need to give it to.
Yeah.
Could have saved him because, like, again, spoilers. No, not actually spoilers. I guess just future predicting. It feels like with the course of this movie, they position it very well for them to just be kicking off doing more now.
Yeah.
So you could have maybe just introduced one of your legacy characters and had Neve Campbell turn up at the end like Thanos.
Yeah.
I'll do it myself. I don't know. Like, Courteney Cox looks so strange. Different. Like, I haven't seen her in anything in a while. And I'm not going to shame anybody for plastic surgery. Do whatever the hell you want if it makes you feel better about your appearance. But she was almost unrecognizable, and which was really strange because Neve Campbell looks pretty much the same.
Yeah. I thought, Ben, you were going to do one of your classics then. We say, I'm not going to slag someone off and then say something devastating. Like, what was it? Demonic. Don't want to slag him off, but it felt like no one was any good in this film. That you're going to say,
no one was any good at anything.
Not going to slag her off, but she looks like a haunted skeleton. I'm like, no.
I'm going to slag her off, but I'm more attracted to David Arquette in this film than her. I'm joking. That's mean. I'm joking.
It's got a small
I'm more attracted to the de-aged Billy Loomis.
Yeah, even in his murder clothes, because when he went to heaven, that was the outfit he was wearing.
You look great. Have you been de-aged? What?
Yeah. Have you been digitally de-aged?
Great. Do you reckon you'll get that in the future? The way that like filters tend to work.
Oh yeah.
You'll have some kind of thing in front of your face or something projecting something onto your face, which is like
digital
filter.
de-aging.
That's a nice little bow you got in your hair. That's a filter. Sorry. Yeah, rosy red cheeks as well. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Rainbows aren't really spilling out of my mouth as I talk.
I'm not really a dog.
Yes, they meet him and he has a good little byline. Like you say, he's watching Gail Weathers on the news. They come and they say, first suspect your boyfriend because it's almost certainly him. Act 3 is going to come around and he's going to be the murderer. But otherwise, gather all the friends together because it will be one of them that is the murderer, because it's always someone that they know. And then his promise to, well, he doesn't promise to help him. He says he's not going to. He's staying out of it. But then he very quickly decides to. He has a quick phone call to Neve Campbell and says, "Don't come here." And he texts Gail Weathers, and then he just decides.
He texts Gail Weathers. He texts her.
And then he says, "Hope you are well."
Back.
Or something.
Ghostface is back. Don't come here. Hope you are well.
Smiley face.
Smiley face.
And then he almost writes, "I still love you." He just writes, "I still." I mean, maybe I'm putting things on him that aren't there. He writes, "I still have lovely fingers." He might be saying, "I still have your mom's casserole dish that I need to give her back."
I still like cornflakes, if you're wondering. I still like cornflakes. I'm still living in a fucking trailer.
Well, that's the one thing, though. He's got alcoholism because, things have gone wrong. But much like a soap opera, the crippling problems of alcohol dependency, if you get a problem in a film, you can just overcome that in a day. It's like, right, not alcoholic anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Hopefully with a shot of you pouring the demon drink down the sink.
Pour it down the sink, never again. And my body will go through no kind of withdrawal. Making that decision is enough.
Alcoholics in films are always having a lovely bit of whiskey or bourbon. No, like
normal
8%
drinks.
Lager. No, 8% lager.
Yeah. What's the
He's drinking 8% lager right now.
He's got like a limp as he walks. And is that from wrestling, do you think? Because I know he
stabbed up in the early Scream film. He gets stabbed up in Scream 1. He has a limp for the rest of the series. So canonically.
So from Scream 2. From Scream 2 onwards, he's had that limp. And he does mention he's been stabbed 8 times, does he say? He says, like, fuck it. I've had a guts full. I'm sick of it. Being stabbed is horrible. I don't recommend it.
Yeah. So it's a good bit like they go to the friend's place and they're all talking about who it could be and why. And then Dewey says, I think it could be like the boyfriend character or something. And then the boyfriend character says, no, it's probably going to be you because you're the older guy. And then you're alone and you're an alcoholic. And then he said, I think it's you because that really cut deep. And he's genuinely emotionally hurt by it.
That's it. He's still got those moments of comedy. Which are like, they're not like slapstick. They're just kind of.
They're really kind of perfectly perfectly performed. Yeah.
And obviously we get the reveal of the twins as well, that they are Randy's niece and nephew.
Yeah. And they've got like a picture of him in the living room.
They've got like a cinema room tribute towards him. Yeah.
Blow him a little kiss every time they go past.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the actor that plays Randy has made a killing out of this. He dies in Scream 2, and I think he gets mentioned in every single one.
Jamie Kennedy, is that his name?
Is it Jamie? Is it Son of the Mask himself?
Yeah, Son of the Mask himself. So obviously
Jamie Kennedy gets a shout every time.
They love it. And Mindy and Chad kind of take up the role of mostly Mindy, I guess. Well, yeah, Mindy takes up the role of Randy in terms of being a horror movie expert and talking about the rules of horror movies and how they've changed up until now and what things about modern horror now apply to this requel.
Yeah, she talks about requels and basically gives us the thing, and she brings in the fact that yes, there's going to be legacy characters, but you have to tie back to the original. And it name drops some things that generated loads of fan ire, by not following the rules of a requel and then trying to reboot a franchise that doesn't have anything to do with the original.
She says Flatliners, which I was a bit like...
Flatliners and Chucky are the ones it gives an example of.
Flatliners, Child's Play, and something else, yeah.
Then it says that later when we see what's happening here involving legacy and new characters, do they say that that Ghostface is going full Force Awakens?
Yeah, I think so.
Full Force Awakens or full Last Jedi? Which one was it?
I think it's been accused of. I think this film has been accused of going full Last Jedi.
Got you.
By some folks, and again, unfortunately, their power has been taken because the film has already said. Oh, I know some people will say this.
Yeah,
so I predicted it, mate. So preemptively.
Yeah, and it's smart, I guess, for doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, there they go, and they go through everything. I guess at this point as well, they recognize that in the fictional world, and I don't think we see the clips yet, but this is also what happened with the Stab franchise. They brought out Stab 8, and it is nothing like any of the others, and it is gone in its own direction, and everyone hates it.
Yeah, and the Ghostface has got a flamethrower, I think. Yeah.
So when they're trying to work out the connection between the killer and whoever else, didn't they work out that the Vince guy, the guy who's at the pub as well, is like
Vince Clortho.
Vince Clortho is like Stu's nephew. Is that what they work out?
Some relation of Stu.
Okay. Yeah,
Some relation of Stu, and not just that, but also obviously Wes mentions, "Oh, my mum was a character," and they say legacy characters were not interested in sequel characters, minor
dog shit characters from the
dog
fourth
shit
one.
characters. Oh, cheers, thanks, nice one. I thought it was quite nice that there is someone from the fourth one in this film as well.
I've always said that as the rule, Ben. When we have these, that's one of the problems with Halloween. Like, you either have to have none of the original, or you have to have all of it. So, with Halloween, might should have that thorn and that baby. That should have all that stuff. Should still be in there. You have to have some of it or none. All of it or none.
Baby. Okay. So yeah, obviously this is the bit where everyone's kind of accusing each other as well. Let's say, and I think you could be the killer because of A. You could be the killer because of B. And that kind of continues. Not you live because you're boring. Not you live because you're boring. And then every time that there's anything even remotely close to a motive, it's really like pointed out. So you can't really work anything out yourself in this, because as soon as you think it, the film says it out loud. It knows.
It's bombarding you with reasons that it could be someone, and then reasons why it isn't them. One of the main reasons it isn't them, because they've just suggested it is them. So the same way that they say, hey, Richie, it's always the boyfriend. Hey, Amber, you're really protective of you're really protective of Tara, and you think, oh, maybe if you can't have her, no one will, because you're quite obsessive over her. You are related to Randy and you're mad. All these things that come up, and genuine as it goes through, you do spend some time. I think I certainly did as a viewer thinking, right, pretty much everyone. You pause for a second and think.
And there are so many quiet moments, especially towards the end, when you think a reveal is going to come, where you feel like you're a split second away from a reveal of sorts. Which was quite interesting. Obviously, when Sam gets accused in this scene of being the killer, she's like, "Fuck this shit," and just leaves and drives. She leaves Richie there as well. Fuck you, Richie. Oh no, I'm gonna get a lift back to the motel. Swivel on it.
Yeah. Where did she go again?
So she goes. Yeah, where does she go?
I think we just go to the murder of the next character to be murdered.
Yeah, she just goes for a drive, and then everyone else is going home, and then we go back to the sheriff's house, right, where she is just ordering some sushi. She's ordered for collection. She's not as lazy as getting a takeaway. She's ordered for collection. Because it gets all smashy unless you carry it back yourself.
She does say that as well, doesn't she? Yeah.
It feels like she's constant. It builds up that she's going to get murdered any point now, but then it kind of tag teams, and then that relay races over to the son as he gets home. She leaves the house, and then we stick with him, and then it's like around every corner you feel like he's going to get stabbed. There's even one bit where he opens like a pantry door, and everyone in the cinema was like, "Oh,
yeah!" It does it like three. It does it like three times, doesn't it? Where it opens a cupboard, and it's like, I thought it was really well done.
I thought it was as well. Yeah, it's quite funny.
Because it was tense every single time. It's like, right, this time.
Yeah, there are moments where people were like, "Oh," these are kind of like groany.
Yeah, it's unbearable. But while he is getting he has a shower and he's nipping the shower. He's just got in from a run. His mom goes to get the sushi, and Ghostface rings her up and says, "Oh, all right, gonna do another murder," and I said, "Oh, don't." So I am.
Oh, don't, not my son. Yeah, he's having a lovely shower.
I'm gonna get your son. Have you seen Psycho? So you must know he's in the shower. And she is racing home. She's getting the police to come. He gets out the shower uneventfully, and he's had a missed call from his mom. That's because she gets home, legs it in the house, and this is your daytime murder.
Yeah, it's weird actually because she's already called for backup for people to go to her house. The Ghostface killer kills her, then goes inside the house to do the rest of his business that he's going to do. All the while, there's like a body just outside the front door, and the police are on their way. I don't know. It doesn't feel very smart. It feels like the Ghostface is like wanted to be captured at this point.
Yeah, it feels like, I don't know. They could have maybe done a little something with this to try and engineer something here. Like, again, without giving too much away, like in a lot of Scream films, there is more than one killer. Could you have done something here which indicates that there is revealed later that two different people maybe do this? So it could almost happen simultaneously. But I was thinking the same watching it. Like, is it a weird thing to do, a stabbing outside someone's house in the middle of the day? And also, I think if the sheriff phoned and said, "Everyone get to my house now," I think every policeman in the world would like get there immediately. Like all of the police, like every person they had
in the world
would immediately fall upon their house.
Or the Bobbies turn up.
Yeah. With like the little clubs.
What are we doing? We're getting on a flight. Why? Someone in Woodsboro needs our help. We're going to be there for hours.
She's for a call out. Go.
So she died. She gets stabbed quite quickly and dies. In fact, I think it's quite brutal. She gets
it's a really fast. The stabbings in this are really they're really quite. I know all stabs are quite hard, but it's really like the force of things. I think they've really gone into it with the real weight of the stabbings, because I think sometimes in horror movies knives just seem to slip in and out of people like butter, like it's nothing. Not even butter on a cold day, on a warm one. But actually, like, stabbings are quite hard. You have to stab someone really hard to get them through the chest.
This Wes guy is like made of like marshmallow or something, because the knife touches his neck, it's like the neck wants to be stabbed. Like the knife just like sucks right through to the other end of his neck.
Go on then. Do it. Stab me.
It's bad though, because like he's got his tasers right there next to him. Doesn't quite reach them.
Initially, I was like, would that kill him? Because it only kind of goes like into like the soft, fleshy part of his neck. But does he get stabbed again? I can't remember.
You get stabbed a fair old bit, or if it just gets the artery in your neck, then I guess it's all over.
But yeah, in terms of the brutality of the stabbings, it felt a bit more realistic, because I think a lot of people who've claimed from like crime documentaries and what's it called? What's the crime thing on BBC One? What's it called?
What?
Crime Stoppers. Crime Watch. What did I say? Crime Stoppers. Crime Watch. When people have been stabbed, they always say it feels like they've been punched. Like a lot of times, I've been punched. I look down. Oh God, I'm bleeding. So I think it is got a lot more force to it, and I kind of felt that with this.
First chance I've had to use my degree in many years, Ben. I did criminology, and like to stab someone is it's really hard. Like especially if you're stabbing them in the chest or something, because if you feel your chest, got a fucking ton of ribs there.
Ton of ribs. Oh God, he left.
Yeah, you have to like it can be quite difficult. So you do have to like go at it with some force. So I think they get that bit right. They get the survivability of some of the injuries that people do seem to live from a little wrong. But in this case, poor old Wes, they've done him dirty. Named after the director of the film as well, and he's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
I felt like it was hinting on that tragedy you were talking about, Ben. I don't think it really quite meets what's come before, but it was kind of
Yeah, this was the
hinting
moment
towards
because
that.
especially when we get like a moment to sort of be with Wes for a while and we understand the relationship he's got with his mum, that they're
Quite
quite
a nice
close.
relationship.
Like when he's like getting out the plates and arranging everything on there, and
Or note saying that she's left some lemon squares in the fridge.
yeah,
They sound
exactly.
nice.
It was those moments that kind of gave those murders, I think, probably out of any of the murders in this film, gave them a lot of
And
weight.
spare a moment for the chef and the staff at that sushi restaurant. They'll have prepared that sushi lovingly, waiting for pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, where is she? She said she'd be here 5 minutes ago. Maybe she'd been stabbed by a ghost face.
I guess the only thing we can really take away as a silver lining from that one is that as it's sushi, it's not going to go cold.
That's true. It's going to go warm.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so after that murder's happened,
so a lot of people arrive on the scene at this moment. So
all the police come,
and all the police turn up. Obviously, Sam turns up and says, "Oh, I knew." What did she say? I knew him. I knew him
her vaguely. And she used to babysit the kids, didn't she? So she's like, "Oh, I knew them, right. Sort of."
Yeah. So Dewey turns up as well, and it's now that Gail makes her entrance.
Gail Weathers appears, gives Dewey a little punch in the arm for texting her to say, "Blooming Ghostface is back."
Ghostface is back. Lol. You never guess what? It has been 10 years as well. You'd be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, staying as far away as possible from all of this." My God.
Ghostface is back. If you were incidentally thinking of coming here, don't.
Now here was the first moment where I kind of started feeling worried for a certain character, is when we kind of it gets explained to us what happened between Dewey and Gail and why they split up and how it happened. And Dewey's like, "I'm a coward," and she's just, "You're a lot of things. You're a twat. But you're not a coward.
You just didn't like New York or something."
That reconciliation moment made me feel like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen to somebody. And I was leaning one way. I was leaning heavier one way than the other. And obviously she's turned up with a news crew as well, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, he's wanting to cover the story," and she's like, "Yeah, pretty much."
I mean, I've got to get my flight paid for. So they're over there, and that's when they turn around. And who should they see but that tall yet inept policeman going, "Do."
You don't give a fuck.
What are you doing here? Are you guarding my sister on an otherwise empty floor of the entire hospital? And he goes, got a message from the sheriff. Don't know if you know this, but she's been stabbed up. Better get to the hospital then.
There's literally no one else at the hospital. It's empty.
You better get to this abandoned hospital to try and make sure my sister's not in danger. Dewey gets in the car. He's coming along.
Oh yeah, Dewey just goes out of the way.
Meanwhile, they quickly phone Richie to interrupt him doing some product placement. He's sat on his bed eating a Pizza Hut pizza where the box has been prominently displayed to like face the camera. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pizza Hut, if that's the type of thing you're into, I'll sit here with you, one of your pizzas here on camera. I'm normally a Domino's guy. You send me a Pizza Hut, I'll sit here and eat it while this episode runs.
I like Pizza Hut, but I feel like Pizza Hut, out of most of the pizza places, like after the first 15 minutes, as it cools down a bit, it loses a lot of quality quite quickly. Whereas Domino's, I feel like, maintains quality regardless of how cold it is. I feel like
Domino's, you eat it a week later and it'd still be good. I like a Papa John's Marmite scroll, but
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, what?
They do a good Marmite scroll at Papa John's.
A Marmite
is that
what?
a riddle?
Yeah, they do like a scroll. It's like a dough, like a twisted dough ball equivalent. It's got some nice Marmite in there. It's very good.
Well,
very good.
Amazing.
Marmite and bread and cheese is a winner. So yeah, whatever combination.
It's real good, but Domino's.
I thought you were talking about like round trees,
but the others. Wow. If any of you want to send us a pizza, we'll talk about it. We'll do a turtle special or something and eat pizzas.
It's Got to be a pizza-based horror movie, surely.
I think there is about
Yeah.
like a giant slice of pizza that attacks some people.
Classic.
Yeah.
Right, pizza chains, if you're listening, and I hope you are,
They better be called Slice.
give us a call about this. I'll quite happily do an episode with some of your delicious pizza, and I think we can turn a phrase or two. We'd give you some powerful endorsements. Mr. Kipling hasn't been on yet,
No.
so
Kippers.
now's your chance.
Fix
Oh,
your tarts or
Kippers.
die.
So yeah, they're on their way to the hospital, and subsequently Tara is kind of realizes she's in danger, doesn't she? Because all the lights go off, and
Yeah.
she gets out of bed. And
Oh,
She hears like the one policeman that has stayed to guard her. She hears him say the equivalent of, "Oh no, I'm being murdered off camera!" Ah!
and then she sees his body in a pool of blood. He's had his throat slit
And his gun gone as well.
and his gun gone. Yeah, exactly. That's the moment she obviously wants to grab it.
Oh yeah.
She hides, but she's in agony, so she
She's
can't
doing
even
some
like.
slow escaping because she's got a busted foot. She's dragging herself along, and the hands all bleeding because she got stabbed through the hands.
No, shush, be quiet. It's a life or death situation. Fuck's sake. You'd leave her be if she wasn't on her own and you were with her, you'd just leave her alone. Say no, see you later.
Stop yelling.
Man.
And I know that it's actually a medical device, but it looks very briefly when she's forgotten about her legs. Shit, one of my legs has been turned into Mega Man. Got like a massive boot.
Yeah.
She got a big old boot.
She's in a wheelchair.
Even in her state of she's fucked, she still fights back pretty well. Again, Ghostface, sort it out. So obviously Ghostface is there to finish the job, I guess. And
also she feels like she's the smallest person in the film by like she's on a lower scale than all of the other people. And I know that people come in all different sizes, but it feels like it's a Hobbit perspective and she's been filmed one frame back. She's like perfectly, like if you put her in a photocopier, made her one size smaller than either. She's at like 80%.
I've ordered, leave her alone, for God's sake. She's already in agony and she's tiny. Give her a break.
You can call like forced diopter or some split dioptrics or something like that. When they do that,
she's just slightly smaller than everyone else.
So I think she throws like a drip at him.
Shows like a drip at him, bashes him.
Have a drip.
And then Richie turns up because when he was eating his pizza and he got that phone call, he's like, "Hang on, let me just close this pizza box. One more slice with this delicious pizza, and I'll be on my way.
I'll get myself to the hospital."
He goes, "Oh, Sam phoned, said you were in terrible danger." And then he gets. This is one of the things. People are knockoutable to different degrees in a thing. Some people take tremendous amounts of punishment and a fine, and then occasionally, when the plot calls for it, you'll get like a little like tap on the head. It's like knocked out,
boop, dead.
Yeah, I'm not, and that's what happens to Richie. Then Ghostface is on the phone. He's like, "All right, is that Sam? Yeah, glad I caught you. I'm actually just going to kill your sister now, and then Ben, this comes back to yours later, where he said, I'm gonna stab the organs that I missed earlier, stab them now, and then I'll have stabbed all of them. I'll have completed it. I've done it. Unless though, if you prefer, because you can't see because this isn't a video call, but Richie's just knocked out now. If you prefer me to stab Richie up, I'll do that. And I won't kill your sister. I'll just stab up Richie. She goes, "Oh, don't. Why are you doing this?" And he says, "Oh, because I'm the best at being a..." And he's like, "No, just
stabbing killer.
Just choose, will you?" And she goes, "Oh, do you ever think that I might be stalling for time?" And he's like, "Huh?" And then
she says that she's very confident the elevator doors are going to open. Just going to open.
What if they're on the wrong floor?
Really slow. The wrong floor. There's ones that get stuck.
Wrong floor.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite cool because she says something like, "Or did you ever think I was stalling for time, you fucking dickhead," or something like that.
Oi, dickhead.
Oh, dickhead. Yeah, and obviously, so Dewey is shooting at Ghostface, who goes off screen for a second, and obviously he comes back in. They have a little dust up. Ghostface ends up like smushed through all of the shelves, like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone.
It looks like a trophy. It looks like a trophy cabinet, but they're in a hospital. I don't know what it is.
And he's in Buzz's room, and he goes. The same thing happens to Ghostface. Obviously, just before that, he gets shot in the chest or area.
What are we to believe on this? Like, is the killer that we see later on? Have they been shot several times and are just all right?
Well, they got bulletproof vest on.
Yeah. Also, right. Obviously, we will get to this because, in terms of the strength of the characters, like the killers, I understand psychopath got a bit of super strength going on in the movies. That kind of happens. But I don't know. There's some things in this where I'm like, am I really supposed to believe that person is the person who is, I don't know, gutting somebody with 2 knives?
Yeah.
Like,
and that is revealed to be that specific.
Yeah. It doesn't draw attention to it in this one. And then I was talking to Karen about it on the way home. And while we do mention at one point to one of the characters who isn't the murderer, oh, you're covered in bruises. And they have a reason. They point out they're covered in bruises and they go, oh, no, that's because of something. But this character, who is the murderer and is revealed to be the murderer in the Ghostface mask at this time, I didn't notice it, but apparently you do see that they have bruises on their chest later on, and just no one mentions it.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
So they must have it from having this bulletproof
But it's
vest.
not obviously, again, not going to reveal it. It's not a gender thing as such. It's just even if it was like a guy the same size as, for example, Emma Roberts in Scream 4, I would say, is very, very slight, short, and very slim. So I wouldn't ever say in terms of like a strength thing. If it's not a gender thing, because if there was a guy who's that size, I might also think I have to suspend my disbelief for that. I don't know.
Well, there's a bit where a bad thing happens here. We'll get to it, but Dewey gets killed.
Yeah,
and
so
the knife
he puts them in the bin, and he puts them in the lift and says, "You got to shoot him in the head." So I'm going to go back and do this on my own. Yeah. So bye.
And it was then. I mean, it was pretty obvious at that exact moment that what was going to happen, right?
But so as he gets stabbed, but I know what you're saying, because he's like, he gets almost lifted off his feet, like and like they stab him on both sides, and like lifted him.
There's no supernatural element to this killer, so that is why the kills can't be as over the top as that, really, because when Michael Myers does it, we think, okay, he's the boogeyman, he's the shape. So it looks like you're drinking from Ghostface's face, sucking on his cheek. There's a supernatural element to it, so you're like, oh Jesus, how did I get lifted up off the ground? But I think in any film, even like, I don't know, I know what he did last summer, that's not a supernatural one, is it? That's just a guy.
No, he's a fisherman though. They've got a very physical job.
But even then, there's a lot of hooking and lifting, and even that, I'm like a bit, okay, I can't quite believe it. But in this instance, and Scream 4 as well with Emma Roberts, there's a few moments where I'm a bit like I don't know if I'm totally on board. I mean, Rory Culkin in Scream 4 as well. I wouldn't expect him to be physically able to lift certain characters up, but this instance in particular of gutting Dewey with 2 knives and lifting him up was a bit like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I completely know what you mean. Yeah,
been doing the calisthenics, I guess.
Imagine they threw a supernatural element to it. Imagine that. It's Billy Loomis's ghost face.
Yeah, he actually has a ghost's face.
Could have been interesting.
So
he
gets killed. It's not. I felt a bit sad about it, I'll be honest. I think he was the best character in the film, in all honesty.
Yeah, and it's not just like a sort of stab and die either, is it? It's quite intense. It's quite dragged out, his sort of murder, and the music does change enough where I guess of all of the films, of all of the moments in this film, this was where that tragedy of the franchise that I enjoy.
It's like he's got it, and Ghostface is nice about it. They're like, oh, it's a real honor. Thank you so much. Yeah,
so he says it's an honor, but obviously that moment, the honor moment, was cut in the trailer to make it look like he was saying it to Sidney, because they cut it like, hello, Sidney, it was an honor, or it's an honor, something like that.
Yeah.
And this moment is
Can't
is
trust
from that
trailers
section.
anymore.
You can't
Yeah.
trust
From
trailers.
the trickier, and they've done it
Yeah.
again. But yeah,
Got
poor
me.
Dewey has had it, legacy character, and I guess this feeds into the stakes, and we talk about it later on. That like it is a movie that is very keen to show that there are stakes, and you can't have those legacy characters necessarily come back and everything's going to be fine. A very different approach to, we talked about it late last year, Ghostbusters. Like I didn't think for a second when we watched Ghostbusters Afterlife that the Ghostbusters weren't going to win. Like it was built into that narrative that Egon wasn't in it because Harold Ramis has passed away, but like there was no way that like Peter Venkman's going to eat shit in this in the Ghostbusters movie, like and die. Like, but it does show that they have some stakes and some ability to do things and not be told, hey, don't mess with this franchise and don't get rid of any of the beloved legacy characters. Just kill off all the newbies. They have some weight they can add to it.
I thought if anything was going to die, I always thought it was most likely to be Dewey, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know if that was the right choice. I feel like, imagine a movie starts and Sidney gets killed in the opening sequence. Like I know they kind of did that with Halloween Resurrection.
That sounds very, very Halloween. They're predicting you again. They're one step ahead.
One bloody step ahead.
Yeah. So Amber, Amber. What's the name? Sam.
So
Sam
decides that she's gonna like do what people don't do in these movies. They're just gonna get out of town, which makes sense.
Yeah. Obviously, we do get a moment first where Gail arrives at the hospital and sees the coroner's bag being removed, and for some reason she knows it's Dewey. It's got to be. I could tell. I could see the limp through that bag.
Yeah.
Dewey size bag.
And then
probably because they were married when there was probably a time when they were tucked up in bed and he was put the covers over him. You could tell from the silhouette. You'd be like,
she knew. That's unmistakable. And obviously, even though Sidney earlier said there was nothing that would bring her back to Woodsboro, turns out it's Dewey getting murdered because she's right back there.
Yeah.
She's run there. She's run with a pushchair like she did earlier.
Yeah. There's no baby in it though. Creepy. Have you got a baby in there? Can I have a look at it? No, there ain't no baby in here.
That's a predator baby, invisible.
I ain't got any kids. What are you on about? What are you running with a pram then? What? Weird. So yeah, they decide that they're gonna leave. I think Sidney even says to Sam, "Help us take down the killer." She's like, "No, I'm leaving town."
Yeah, I'm gonna kill him. So you want me to help you do a murder on this murderer? And they go, yeah, if you could. Because I'm Billy Loomis's kid, right? Because she's told everyone now. And she goes, yeah, I know, that's fine.
Is that? I think she even says, "Is that weird for you?" And she's like, "Nah.
I got no problem with Billy Loomis. I killed him, so
he's definitely dead. Have you got a problem with me because I killed your dad? That's weird."
Oh, I didn't get to that bit of the diary. See what I'm on for.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, she doesn't want any of it. It says, no, we're going to be sensible and we're going to get out of town. She goes, okay, good luck. She doesn't really wish him good luck. She's put a tracker on their car so she can follow him.
Jesus, what a Batman move from Sidney Prescott.
Yeah.
And I think Gail says she's impressed. Very nice. You get, this is weird, you get the idea that Gail's kind of enjoying it a bit at this stage. Actually, Dewey's just died, so maybe not. I don't know, it just sort of felt like she was going back to her roots or sort of
very pragmatic, isn't it? It's pragmatic, well, I guess they were like I said, really sad that Dewey's dead, but kind of into this adventure now that we're in.
Yeah.
I suppose she'd been divorced from him from ages, so she's probably like,
don't care about him that much.
Don't care if he's dead or not.
He can rot.
So as they're leaving, as Sam and Richie and that are leaving, Tara's like, I've lost my inhaler, and that I can't breathe without that.
That's all right. You got my asthma.
You got a spare one in there. Oh no, that one's gone too. What about the third reserve one? That's gone as well. You're a fucking idiot, aren't you?
Yeah. So then you go.
I feel
okay,
like you would
Amber's
turn
got
back
one.
round to the hospital that you've just left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. It depends. I don't know the area that well myself.
Plot
One-way system.
There's always one big one-way
Oh no,
system.
I know it's only a mile, but it'll take us 20 minutes to get around the
Yeah.
ring road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
So they decided to go to Amber's because Amber has an inhaler there. What they expect is that when the morning they're having like a wake party
For Wes.
piss up for
yeah,
Wes.
this is
Yeah.
kind of strange, isn't it?
There's so there's a few things going on. Amber and I can't remember what Amber's up to. The twin brother guy is gonna have sex with his
Liv.
girlfriend, but then he says, "I don't want to go into a room with you because I'm 99% sure you're not the killer, but there's still that 1% that you might be."
1%. Yeah.
And actually, that's not what she wants to hear. So
I mean, you could have handled it better and said,
That's turned
"Hey,
it right off.
do fancy having sex with you, but in these situations, people who go off and have sex tend to get murdered. So let's just keep it in our pants for a day."
yeah, I
Wouldn't have
actually
offended her.
really liked a lot of these little scenes, these little gags. There's that one bit where Amber goes downstairs to the fridge and it's loads like the Rose McGowan bit from Scream 1.
Yeah, this is great.
It's
and
exactly
then-
it's exactly the same basement, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it must be, yeah. So then, like, she closes the fridge door, and the other twin is there, and she says that was a test, and you failed or something.
Yeah, because you went and got beer on your own.
Yeah, yeah. It's I guess what's his name turns up. Does the twin eat it around here? I think.
Yeah, so I
pretty
think
soon. So they
so
have
he
that. They
goes-
have that scene with Amber and the other twin, whose name I refuse to stick in my head. Mindy. So Mindy is like, "Oh well, I'm the killer," and then Chad gets another text message, and Liv has now added him to the friend finder app. So he goes and does an Aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
there's-
was
yeah, yeah.
exactly an Aliens, wasn't it? Just the
Yeah, because there's that beeping as well. Yeah.
He takes a
all
candlestick
around us,
with him.
man. Takes a candlestick, just in case. That's good. Cluedo. If you enjoy Cluedo, it's a perfectly logical
Yeah.
weapon.
Doesn't like the killer burst out of a shed or something?
In a bit, yeah. So first, it's like basically on Liv's. They gets really close to the show, and then basically Ghostface pops out, shanks him in the leg, gives him a poorly leg, and he's trying to run away. He biffs him with the candlestick, but is too poorly to get away. And it comes up just like we were talking last week about the extra scene in Halloween. And your phone goes wampy when it gets stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
He's trying to turn off the friend
Yeah.
finder, but he's got
Can't do it. But he slings
Don't work.
slings the phone.
That's a good idea. Sling it because then they're using the friend finder app and they go the wrong way. That's in any stealth game. If you played any stealth game at all, that's how they work. You throw something somewhere.
They go, what was that noise?
The noisemaker in Days Gone. That thing.
Yeah.
Classic. Classic move.
So I think he makes a break for it, and then
It's too late. That's when Ghostface bursts out of the garage.
Yeah.
Stabs him up, but then some cars. Then a car comes by, and he goes, "Blooming hell," and just chips off.
Yeah, leaves him in the garden.
So the car is Richie, Sam, and Tara. They come in, and for some reason,
send
Amber
everyone away from the party.
Yeah, come on, everybody leave, get out of here. And it's similar to the original as well. Everybody left the party in the original because they found out the principal had been murdered.
The Fonz had been murdered.
The Fonz had been murdered.
School.
And our principal's been murdered. Let's go there right now.
Hanging from the goalpost or something.
There. Yeah. They drive there, and obviously that's just a reason to because you can't have a ghost face mucking about in the middle of a busy party.
This is where Richie calls them all Gen Z. Come on, Gen Z, literally saving your life. See you later.
Somebody says someone's weird dad is here, telling everyone to leave. And that kind of made me feel weird because I was like, how old is he? How old is he?
I think he's
Quaid.
a bit younger than us, surely.
29, Jack Quaid.
Yeah. Wow. So I don't know if it's around here. It comes up at some point. but it's my favorite scene in the entire movie, where Mindy's alone watching the stab scene where they're recreating Randy watching a horror movie, and the
He's
character
watching
playing
Halloween.
Randy is like telling the character in the movie he's watching, he's behind you, and if she's like, no, Randy, he's behind you, and then
There are
the killer is
so many
actually behind
layers.
her. I know there's so many layers, it's
So many
ridiculous.
layers to this.
But I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah, this was really
great.
well done. This was these little bits, and I think some of the bits with Mindy are some of the coolest bits in the film. She's really well done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's like, I'm gonna have sex with that girl over there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cop off with this girl. She says.
She's like winking at her and stuff.
And then immediately does. She's like, "Come on."
She does because she does a face as if to say, "Oh yeah, get over here." So she does get attacked by Ghostface because she does look around at the key moment. But yeah, a lot of that attack kind of happens off screen because I think Sam intervenes in this one, doesn't she?
Yeah, Sam intervenes, but it made me for a moment. We had all kinds of suspicions floating around here. Richie has gone off to the basement on his own to get beer. I don't know why he wanted a beer. He was in the middle of a drive.
Oh yeah, he just needed to be out of the way, didn't he? Really?
Yeah. So Sam comes in as Mindy's being attacked, and Mindy seems to think. And I did spend a minute going, was maybe Mindy got something to do with this because she was attacked off camera and has very quickly gone on too poorly. Died.
Too poorly.
Yeah. But yeah, this is basically, as the characters then say, it all is escalating. Everyone comes back in. Ghostface kind of runs away. Richie comes back in. Instead of gone to get a beer, like I asked her to come with me. Like, so I didn't disappear. And then Liv comes back in and is covered with blood, having just found Chad's body outside. They wonder why there's blood on her hands. They wonder everything's gone. Amber's come back downstairs with Tara, having gone to fetch her inhaler. But they can't. They get there, and she goes like, "Oh, like you can't seriously live at this point. Who's covered in Chad's blood?" It's like, no, please, you can't seriously think that I'm the murderer. And Amber answers, "No, I don't think you're the murderer. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers." Because I am, and then says, "Welcome to Act 3, bitch." End of the line. Shoots her in the head.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. So
did any of you suspect Amber at any point? Like I say, I suspected her early,
most of the movie. To be honest, I stayed on here. I kept thinking,
"Come on."
I don't know. Yeah.
I didn't really see it come in, but I thought as soon as it reveals it as any of this friend group, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm sure they'll explain why.
Richie and Sam run into the basement again, and she holds Richie at knife point and basically says, "No, come on. You were off on your own. It's always the boyfriend," like Dewey said, and now here we are in the third act. Richie is like, no. Like, it's not me. In fact, I think that it might be your sister. And you know what? Checks out. Because she wanted to come to the house. She didn't find the inhaler.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember how it all kind of kicks off towards the end here now.
It's basically all running wild now because then Sidney and Gail have arrived. They're getting out of the car and Amber is like walking out the house, "Oh my goodness, blooming hell, I've been stabbed.
I've been shanked.
Shanked." And then they kind of look at each other and go,
"You falling for it?
Is it really?" "No, I'm not falling for it." She goes, "Oh, fucking hell." Just gets the gun out and she caps Gail.
Yeah, shoots Gail right in the stomach.
Yeah.
Gets her in the tongue, just in the side though, so not a fatal injury.
Yeah.
No. So obviously here's the moment as well where Sidney walks back into Stu's house.
Oh yeah, we revealed it's Stu's house.
Stu's house, yeah. So for the first time since the events of the first movie, she walks in. There's a nice sort of like Dutch angle, isn't there? There's a couple of nice Dutch angles in this, isn't there? Yeah. Where especially like
you
going.
don't see Dutch angles anymore at all, really. It's very out of vogue.
Bring it back.
Get it back. So yeah, obviously the moment, and she's looking around the house is strangely quiet as well. But yeah, when she's walking around, did she get a phone call at this point? Obviously Ghostface has got a number.
I know that Sidney phoned Sam and said, "Look out! You need to leave because you're at
Yeah, that's right.
Stu's house." That was just where it all kicked off. But now, at this point, Sam has found Tara tied up and duct taped, a bit like Sidney's dad was in the cupboard.
Yeah.
But kind of, we see her kind of hesitating as to whether she's going to cut her free or not. Sidney then goes around basically sensibly clearing the rooms, basically says, "Come out or I'll shoot you," shoots into a door. And in the process of this, shoots Richie in the leg.
Yeah. And she's like, "Why didn't you come out?" He's like, "Because you're just shooting indiscriminately into..."
Yeah, you're shooting at people. And then Ghostface comes out, piles her down the stairs, they get into a big scrap. Richie hobbles down and makes it to the gun first, and then we reveal, breaks my heart because I wanted him to be nice.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Also, like his whole complete characterization changes within seconds when it reveals that he's actually the second killer.
Yeah, because doesn't he say something like, "Are you okay?" And she says yes, and then he stabs. So then Richie stabs Sam, and it says, "I'm so glad you're okay because I wanted to be the one who got to kill you."
Yeah. No good. So
dirty bastard.
And then are we led to believe them when he was watching? Because we'll go into the motives now, I guess. But he was watching those stab movies on Netflix, and for us, the watchers of the film, when we thought he might be a goodie, it's because he's not seen them before and he mentions it. But actually, it's because he thinks they're brilliant. They're his favorite.
Because he absolutely loves them.
I mean, he could have been watching anything else, but he could have just been said he was watching Stab. Could have been watching
Care Bears,
La La Land,
pornography.
Or pornography.
Can you imagine then? Maybe in many ways, getting his Netflix watch history would have solved this. You said you watched Stab loads.
Yeah.
You watched Stab 194 times. Yeah, it's all right.
It's on your letterboxd. You've given them all 5 stars.
Yeah, just for a laugh.
Well, they want to give him all 5 stars because he hates the sequels.
Yeah.
And this is where we get to it. Like, this is where we have the reveal that basically Richie in particular is motivated by the fact that he is a big Stab fan and he hates the departure that they made with the last one. So part of their motive is they're going to done these murders so they can inspire a new Stab movie and correct things in Hollywood, because they do a far better job of making things that are based on real murders.
So obviously Amber's parents bought Stu Macker's house at some point, and I guess she became like obsessed.
She's been obsessed with it. She's been on Reddit learning all about it, and these two became internet friends. So
yeah, so
dangerous combination.
So these guys, I mean, I do understand your complaints a bit more, Ben. Like their whole motive is that they're just angry Redditors, like angry internet users who wanted there to be a better film. So they tried to make a better source material by kind of making a new story, like a new murder happen as they wanted it to happen. Yeah, I don't know. Like there isn't that kind of same emotional connection to the core characters as to why they're doing the killing, just because they're internet users and angry. That's their whole motive. Yeah.
I guess this is a leap. This is the thing though, isn't it? And I guess what we're talking about it being the best Scream that you can get right now. It's a huge part of the discourse right now, right? And there are some very angry voices on both sides. Call some examples. Like we had the Chucky that, again, they hang a lampshade on this one when they mention the fury that you get from those examples. I think the one we'd forgotten was they mentioned it about Ghostbusters as well, right? Like, you've done a Ghostbusters with a women in it. No, people get passionate about it, and it's like, and again with the Chucky thing, I think even some of the co-stars of it, when they did like a Chucky without Brad Dourif as the voice, they know it's not my Chucky, and it is somehow to the detriment of these stories that you and the films that you really liked growing up. And, you know, people do feel very strongly about it. And this character in this film has taken it to a fictional level where he's become a murderer. And it's like, well, how can fandom be toxic? Because it's about loving something. And actually, I'm going to do this thing. You know what? I say people take it to the extreme in that. Yes, this has gone to a violent extreme, but, you know, genuinely there is a crowdfunding campaign, which, you know, people have raised several thousands of dollars saying that they want to raise enough money to buy the rights and then make the true fans version of, I forget whether it's The Last Jedi or the one that comes after it, but, you know, they kind of want a do-over of
how much is it going to cost
film.
to buy the rights for stuff?
Oh, they want to spend like $3 billion on it or something like that. Like, you know, enough to, if you had that kind of money, you could probably
and then
deal with a great deal of poverty.
What if you still don't like it?
Yeah.
Then what?
It's hard to make a movie.
Yeah, it's really hard, and especially in today's era when everyone constantly plays the game of trying to guess what's going to happen in it. Like, you also can't be predictable on top of everything else. So
I guess in a way, obviously, the motive is relevant to 2022 and that commentary on horror movies and sequels and everything like that. It really does work in terms of that. But I just think in terms of a film with real people, with obviously characters, but, you know, representing real people, I don't know. I feel like I'm not entirely sold on it. And it reminded me a bit of the motive for Scream 4, which is more like they want notoriety as a survivor of the Woodsboro murders so that they in turn can essentially become famous, which, like, isn't exactly the same, but it's not outside of the realms of the same sort of idea. So I don't know, it just felt a bit like this third act felt very, very similar to the third act of Scream 4, I guess, with those reveals and the final plan.
But after having that big reveal, they're getting ready to stage getting ready to stage the bodies, basically framing up Sam and her sister Sam and Tara as the murderers. They go to get Tara, and it turns out Richie has made a miscalculation because actually Sam did trust the sister and let her go. So she's not locked up in the cupboard anymore and is primed and ready to beat absolute fuck out of Amber with a crutch.
Very nice.
Having had 2 days for a broken foot and stab wounds to heal now, she's feeling a lot stronger. And maybe she's found a photocopier in Amber's room to re-embiggen herself, and now she's 1.25 size, ready to fight.
I'll get bigger. Yeah, and there's obviously a moment. Wait, I'm just trying to think about where we're at in terms of the. Yeah, so obviously that's the staging it, like trying to frame everybody, because trying to frame Sam because she's the daughter of Billy Loomis. It's like, okay, I understand that. It could take a lot with so many people involved and so many crimes involved in this house. Like, even trying to think about how you could frame that, how you'd frame them or stage that crime scene to make it look like it wasn't you, is kind of crazy. And I kind of felt like that with Scream 4 as well. It felt like it was a bit too much.
Maybe they're just hoping that things would be such a mess that they would just take the word of any survivors and say, oh, these murderers, and they go, oh yeah. And probably I think just a lot easier if we Sheriff just died, they're short-handed.
With these reveals and with the instance of Billy Loomis's spectre being included in Sam's brain again, it did make me think how cool it would have been for the killers to be revealed as Billy Loomis's daughter and Stu's relative, but not as something that was present throughout the film, but as the reveal was at this moment. It was Billy Loomis's daughter, and this is why. And then Stu's, they still met on a message board, or they met like through some sort of trauma survival thing. I don't know. I just kept thinking that would have been quite cool. Like, imagine the moment where, I don't know, we recreate something between Billy Loomis and Stu, but with a new generation of their,
that it would have been interesting. Like, I don't dislike what they did with this. I think it was okay. The only thing that weakens it slightly is that I think it takes away the weight of the reveal about Billy Loomis being her dad. The fact that Amber knew about it, they said, "Oh, what do you know?
Yeah.
You knew that Billy Loomis was dead." So yeah, it's a small town. Your mom's a pisshead. So
Oh yeah.
it was
Yeah.
really easy
Take
to
away a
know,
little
but
bit,
no
yeah.
one else did know, including the
Tara.
other
Daughter.
sister that would have
Yeah.
it would have thingy. See, that's what I thought about it. Like I thought, oh, okay, when I had some suspicions of Tara that, well, she does already know, and she's dead fucked off about it. But no, it's not that. So then we just kind of have a bit of a Royal Rumble, I guess. Like Sydney's in and's been stabbed. Gail is back in and has been captured. They're gathering them all up, but then
There's like a final destination of events that happen to Amber. Like the stove turns on. She gets covered in like some sort of alcohol.
yeah, they make a point of like,
she says, didn't she?
yeah, like literally Sydney and Gail kind of like they Dudley boys, or they 3D her onto the kitchen cabinet and then smash her in the face with the thing. And she makes a point of like Chekhov's hand sanitizer. She has to say hand sanitizer rather than antibacterial hand wash, meaning that it's got an alcohol content, so she can set fire in a minute.
Yeah, and when she sets fire, it's pretty crazy.
Final destinations are into the fire, and she's all burned up.
Interesting fact. So the actress who plays Amber is Vicky Madison, who's also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she dies at the end. Spoilers for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Have you both seen that?
She gets flamethrowered.
She gets flamethrowered. So two ways that she's died. Fire.
Always gets
fire.
Always fired.
Yeah,
so that's her all burned up. Meanwhile, Richie is still chasing after Sam. She basically gets the upper hand. No, they're wrestling. They're cruel. They're fighting. She powers him off the stairs at some point. She does like a hide behind the door, and then like they do like a big tumble down the stairs. She's crawling along, and she sees under the curtain there's a knife. And then who's there to tell her? But the ghost of Skeet Ulrich, like a force ghost, appears and is like,
he just goes, eh? There's a knife under there. Have you seen it?
And when she's got it, she goes, he like does like a Mufasa in the clouds, like, remember who you are. So yeah, I've got
serial killer gene.
Stabbing is in my blood. And then she literally stabs absolute shit out of him. And he's like, Jesus at first, he's a bit like the fight goes out of him, and he's like, oh, ow, ow. And he's like, oh, blooming hell, this stings a bit. Oh.
This is unpleasant. Every stab I was feeling, because she really bang, like the sides and the.
But then there was like he says like, but what about my movie or something?
Oh,
let's cut his throat. Or like, here's your ending or something.
This was that's it. I was a bit
Here
like,
it comes.
When he says, oh, it wasn't hard to find you, because obviously she moved away from Woodsboro and he found her. He said, it wasn't hard to find you. It wasn't hard to fuck you. And I was a bit like, what? How would you even go about? I don't know. It just seems like it's a hell of a complicated plan, isn't it?
Also, the only way they got back to the house was because he hid Tara's inhaler. Like,
I can't believe that worked.
Yeah.
Imagine if Tara had gone, nah, I'll be fine, I guess. I'll just...
Yeah. No, I think you really,
and he would like
do
just
need it.
Drove past the house and Richie's just looking at it like, I guess we're not going to.
He would have just, out of nowhere, started smoking.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I love these. I love these. Do you know that? I've never seen you smoke before in your life. Well, you don't know me very well, do you? And she was like,
those cigarettes. Oh, I've got a big bunch of flowers here. You haven't got hay fever, have you? That'll make your asthma bad. All this big bouquet of flowers.
I love them.
The grass museum. Got to stop here.
Please, do you want anything for the gift shop? I'm full of grass.
Oh, I thought you're not feeling so well. Got you this dog and a cat, just to be sure. Hold them real close to your face now.
Hypoallergenic. These are hyperallergenic.
The most allergenic dogs I could find.
Yeah.
They're just constantly shedding.
there's another callback to the original. Oh, they always get up again. So I think they shoot the shit out of Richie, but then there's a second reveal with Amber, like a burnt Amber, like running out of the kitchen screaming.
Yeah,
She gets
and
shot.
then Tara shoots dead. Oh yeah, because when Amber originally got shot, it was Sydney and Gail were like, "Do you want to take this one? Nah, you haven't. You do it. You did the last one. You've done the last one. Don't
The last murder, the last legal murder that we did.
Yeah. So why don't you kill her?
Yeah. So basically, Tara's been a bit left out. She hasn't got to do a murder yet because basically, yeah, Sydney and Gail double teamed Amber earlier.
Nice.
Sam has stabbed up the other one, so now Tara's like, I want some of this action. She gets to do the last shot of Amber. Sam's kind of put. Then that's it. The ambulances come. Some
lot of people
people better
survive.
than others.
Yeah, a lot of people
Oh
survive.
yeah, because Chad is fine.
Yeah, he just got like a bad knee. The Mindy's fine.
Mindy's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richie's fine.
She just have a little sit down.
Richie's fine. He's been stabbed 78 times in the face, but he's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, Sam's just had to have a little bit of sellotape round her tummy, and she's walking about. Gail and Sydney are sitting on their phones.
Tara's doing cartwheels down the house.
So Gail got shot. Sydney got stabbed, but they're just sat at like an ambulance with blankies around them.
Oh, that was a crazy one, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm 50% better already. Once my cocoa comes, I'll be right to drive home.
Dewey unzips himself from the bag and sits up. Hey guys.
They're taking me to that private floor of the hospital. They can fix anything there.
Yeah.
And Gail says she's not going to write about the killers to give them any notoriety. Instead,
they can die in obscurity.
A touching tribute to Dewey. And I was like, no one's going to buy that book. Sorry.
Yeah. What is that?
About the killers!
Especially because they're going to die without any notoriety. They're going to be like, how did he die?
He fell into load of pins. Human pincushion he was. He was at a circus as a human pincushion. Went a step too far, he's dead.
Yeah. So that was Scream 2022. I have some name game for Scream 2022 if you're up for it.
Always.
Yeah.
So the first one, so 25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges, but this one has exceptionally moisturized skin.
Is it cream?
Cream, well done. This next one, 25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges on Twitch.
Stream.
He's only got to stream the murder.
25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges, and he's drunk a huge glass of squash, and he can't stop weeing.
Stream,
well done.
Stream again.
Double stream.
Yeah, homonym. So 25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a new Ghostface emerges, and he's got an extra organ.
Spleen.
Oh, that was a good spleen.
25 years after the original series of murders in Woodsboro, a killer emerges, and it's exactly as it seems.
Killer emerges, and it's exactly as it seems.
There's some sort of mystery, and it's exactly as it seems.
Exactly as it seems. Scream.
Scream.
Close. I mean, it sounds like that. So most things aren't as they seem. Things aren't as they seem. This is exactly as it seems.
Seem.
Well done.
It's just so convoluted, right? Even needing to be.
Yeah. Do you want one, Luke, for the road?
Yeah. Let's go for one.
25 years after the original series of murders, electronics company Apple are responsible for a new wave of murders. Unfortunately, they can't brand it properly because it sounds like a dairy dessert.
Ice cream.
Ice cream, correct.
Ice cream. Okay, I got one.
Oh.
25 years after. Yeah, laughing at my own joke. 25 years after all those murders in Woodsboro, everybody comes back together, not because of a killer, but because one of them has become a fisherman and he's got loads of greenish bronze, deep body freshwater fish native to Europe, ready for everybody to eat. Bream.
One more
from the
for you
River
then.
Bream.
We'll see how I do this. So 25 years after the original series of murders, the gang is reunited. Ghostface killer, but he gives himself away by saying, he gives himself away as being Joey Essex by saying a phrase he used in the kind of late 2010s. Ream. Correct.
If I had to say any of you two knew what Joey Essex's catchphrase was, I'd never have said you, Andy, or you, Luke, to be fair.
Karen was a big fan of early only fan.
Absolutely Ream. Very nice.
So, I need to rate the movie. What are you guys going to go for?
Yeah, it's hard.
Which side of whelms did you land on in the end, Ben? I know you were feeling under early.
Yeah, I think overall I'm feeling quite underwhelmed. And I appreciate a lot of the stuff it does. A lot of the meta stuff and the way it kind of has moved with the times is very well done and it's very well written. And a lot of the characters, in terms of the new generation of characters, are very interesting and very well written. I think the legacy characters maybe get done a bit dirty, not always by what happens to them, but by what doesn't happen to them. Like some of them are just kind of there, just as passengers for the plot, and don't necessarily have anything interesting to do or say, which was a bit disappointing. And I just found the finale for me, and in terms of the MOs and in terms of the reveals of the killers, felt very similar to Scream 4, and Scream 4 is definitely my least favorite out of all of them. So for it to remind me of my least favorite of them rather than my favorite, I think was a problem. And as I mentioned before, and obviously Luke, you've touched upon as well, that tragedy. Obviously it's a weird sort of thing. You've got the meta stuff, you've got the comedy in sense, but there is this sort of like tragedy to the films which actually make them some of the kills quite brutal or unexpected.
Yeah, the kills are never like too gory, but they're kind of like, they just emotionally get you. They make you feel like a pity for he's not dead, is he? You haven't got him, have they?
Yeah. I wanted him to
Wes. survive.
Yeah. And I just feel like it lacked a lot of that. And even, I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. It's always good to have a new Scream movie, and obviously it's been over 10 years since the last one, so I'm very happy to. But I don't know if I can go very high on it because I was trying to list it against the other Scream films and what I've rated the other Scream films, and I don't know if I'd maybe my third favorite out of the lot, just because 3 and 4 I wasn't particularly sold on. Maybe a C+. Possibly.
Okay. Yeah.
It's fair, Ben.
Yeah.
Fair Ben.
Fair Ben
plus. So Ben was underwhelmed. I said before to you, Andy, I was pretty whelmed overall. I think it satisfied everything I wanted from a Scream movie in 2022. Once I was blown away, and I even found it a little bit too long at times. I think the pace kind of dragged in the middle bit somewhere, but it could have been because it was a bit late and I was a bit tired. So I'm going to go with like a straight down the middle B.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
For me then, yeah.
Oh,
I think that it's the no. I think I'm with you. Like, I'm adequately whelmed, just on the borderline here. Like, you're right. I think you summed it up perfectly earlier, Luke. I think you said that, like, I think this is the best Scream movie you can make in 2022. I think it's the best thing you can do with this franchise right now, and I do genuinely believe that what they've created is something that would have been in keeping with what Wes Craven would have wanted to create himself had he still had the helm of this franchise, having not passed away. So, that said, I agree with some of the things that Ben says as well. I think the legacy characters don't always get perhaps their due. I also think that it's perhaps setting up for more of the future? Are they doing a new Star Wars trilogy where they're slowly phasing out the old ones and then trying to get a new generation of characters that you care about? Because there's enough people left in this that you've got a follow-up ready-made. If this does well as it already is, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a couple of months down the line and we see that they've greenlit a sequel to this and they're working on it. Yeah, that's another complicated issue to have to work through on this one.
Scream kills.
Yeah, Scream kills. Scream doesn't end.
Scream ends.
Scream dies tonight.
One thing I will tell you though, you've been on enough of these with me now to know that like slightly smart-ass dialogue, which is too clever and pleased with itself for its own good, is right up my street. So I like that a lot. Yeah, I like the writing. I like the examination of the media and pointing out what it's doing. I am perfectly charmed by that and found it quite fun. I think the delivery of that was really quite good as well. And I know that it's manipulative, but I quite like it when it's like, mention a film I know there. That's a thing that I understand. Like, feel very pleased with myself, like watch it. So it was, in those senses, it can be quite a pleasure to watch it at times as well. If they did another one, I think I'd go and watch it. So I'm going to join you, Luke, on a B. B is
nice.
B from me.
Lovely
So
stuff. B for Billy Loomis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Will he be back again as a ghost? The ghost of Billy Loomis.
Let's get the ghost of Stu involved as well. That'd be for a good
time.
Oh,
Matthew Lillard, digitally de-aged.
Just don't have him digitally de-aged. Just to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Have him dressed.
Just actually pull all of the things, all of the comes he does from 13 Ghosts, and no dialogue. Just.
Yeah.
Oh. There we go.
Right. So next week, we are doing Link.
It's double bends next week, right?
Double bends. That's as many bends as you could ever want and need.
Yeah.
It's a double bend week.
So Ben Scaife,
friend Ben Scaife is joining us. Yeah.
Long-time listener of the show, friend of the
T-shirt
show.
T-shirt
maker. Monkey horror enthusiast.
Yeah, he's coming to talk with us just a year, just over a year and a week away it'll be since we did our Congo episode, famous ape horror Congo. He's going to come and talk to us about Link, another ape horror film. We'll no doubt mention Dunstan. I think he'll make an appearance.
Yeah.
Dunstan will be involved, yeah.
Cool.
There we go. Sweet.
Thanks for listening.
Check in with us next week.
Wow.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed listening to today's episode, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout, where you can get early access to episodes and bonus content. Thanks to our current patrons, Lane Spencer, John Crinnan, Ben Scaife, Stephen Christopher, Debbie Miller, Laura Kendrick, Scott Rigby, Wendy Muller, Ollie Child, and Pazuzu. Oh, I'll just say Wendy Muller is a new patron. I guess we'll shout out the new patrons as they come in. So welcome, Wendy. Thanks very much for joining.
Wendy.
Welcome. Thank you.
And thanks to Kovac Carmen for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. Please rate and review in iTunes. Hit subscribe. Thanks to Ben and Andy for being right horror dudes.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
What a lovely time.
Until next week.
Yeah, stay spooky, everyone. Goodbye.
Stay spooky. Don't get stabbed. Bye.
Don't get stabbed.
Bye. Avoid those stabbings at all costs if you can.